Hello, and welcome to The Hill is Always Greener, a show where four friends have chill discussions about Sonic the Hedgehog and his many appearances in different forms of media to distract themselves from the inevitable passage of time and their own rapidly waning ability to relate to the youth of today. Or something like that.
Appropriate enough, since we're talking about stuff that was only relevant to the youth of our day. So that's going to be fun today.
Yeah, I mean, even when this stuff was out, I was still maybe just outside the age bracket, but that's okay. But I am Game Buddy.
Oh yeah, that's me. I'm Falaro.
I'm Rock the Jake.
And I'm Cyberlink.
And today, before we jump into our topic, which we're going to have lots of silly fun with, does anyone have any other Sonic-related stuff they did in the interim between our episodes?
Quite a bit, actually.
Aside from the elephant in the room that, yes, we've all played, and yes, we're going to do an episode on. Exactly. Buckle up, folks.
Yeah, we're going to have a lot to talk about when that one comes around, but I did actually play another game that starts with Sonic F, Sonic Forces, because I was in a conversation with some folks a while ago who had never actually played it and didn't realize just how many problems that game has, so I booted it up to show them personally, and I'm pretty sure everybody's jaws actually hit the floor when I showed them that first slope in Chemical Plant. You know the one. Like, nobody could believe that was actually happening.
Yeah, that sure is one of those things where I remember, what was it? Like, we had the positive version of that after Colors when Generations was coming out, where we were like, well, after Unleashed in Colors, like, they kind of got it down. Are they going to keep, that boost gameplay going good? And then when it came to follow that up with Forces, it was like, what?
No.
What did y'all do? You had it. Go back. We have to go back.
You were doing it right.
That said, though, I did get to, when I was doing that, I did get to try out the fan-made Chaos Zero boss battle, and that was pretty cool.
Oh, yeah. I've seen
it's a little ROM hacky in places. You know exactly the kind of jank I'm talking about, but it's cool, and I'm glad that it exists.
I'll have to check afterwards, but I'm pretty sure the person that did that mod also has done like several really nice like physics tweaks mods for other games. I think the one for Lost World I've mentioned before, and just good for them. They are very dedicated to minutia of tweaking and fixing Sonic games on PC.
Yeah.
I wish my own machine could run Forces on PC, because I would play that game again if instead of creating my own character, I could just play as Whisper the Wolf.
It's funny, just briefly on the topic of Sonic Forces and the Chaos Zero battle, or lack thereof in the actual game. We're going to get into it when we eventually talk about Forces, but I was having a discussion about this with my friend Akaru the other day, who we just had on the podcast last episode, and we pointed out
friend of the show!
Yeah, 3 cardinal sins were in that one scene involving Chaos. The first one being Chaos, who was advertised in the trailer. You do not get to actually fight them. They're taken out almost immediately. 2, that's the scene, I'm pretty sure, where Tails has his little breakdown that everyone hates.
Yep.
And 3, classic Sonic was announced as being from another dimension. All in that in one scene. So that has to possibly be the worst scene in all of Sonic Forces, and that's covering a lot of ground.
Yep. That sure is, it seems to be the core of a lot of people's gripes with that game, even if at the end of the day I would call it a mediocre playing Sonic game. But yes, there are so many weird things, and we don't have to waste time on that. That probably deserves its own deep dive. There are lots of receipts and proto-release scripts with notes from people embedded within the Sonic franchise who are basically redlining, saying like, please, for the love of Christ, you cannot do this. Please change this. And they didn't.
No, they forced out instead. So
I also got together with some friends last week to hang out, and we went to a local arcade of mine where I actually got to try out one of my favorite rhythm games by Sega, My, which has a bunch of Sonic-themed songs on there. I posted a video in our personal chat of me playing through one of them. That game's still rad.
Yeah, the whole thing with like all the buttons on the circular screen and that is also a touch screen looks cool as hell.
Yeah.
And you played wasn't it Back to Back from Sonic Rush?
Yeah.
I saw some of the other ones listed where your Live and Learns, when Endless Possibility, and also Fist Bump.
Yeah, Fist Bump and Live and Learn are in there. Reach for the Stars, Windy Hill, City Escape, Rooftop Run. It's a pretty varied selection, even discounting like the other Sega songs in there as well from stuff like Yakuza and Persona and whatnot.
Oh, now I'm interested.
Yeah, they've got a bunch of the remixes from Dancing All Night in there.
Oh yeah, those are good ones.
It's neat. But that same weekend, at the urging of my friends from the Way Past podcast, we got together and we tried out the Sonic Crash Course board game.
Oh, I think I've seen that in like Target and whatnot, and thought, well, that's cute.
Yeah, I've had that. Like, I got that a while ago. I just haven't had a chance to properly sit down and play through it, and it's really interesting. I think I would need another 1 or 2 times through it to really kind of get a sense for it, because there's a lot of, like, it is both simple and complex at the same time, like just trying to figure out, okay, what's the most how is like all the movement in this game work. There's character specific mechanics that I never even got to touch because it's like you get little bonuses per like each character if you do specific things, and I don't think those ever came up. But I don't know. I would like to. I'm interested enough that I'd like to play more, and I think that there is a way that I would love for us to do like a episode on Sonic board games at some point. And I think that I know a workaround we can use that all 4 of us can play together. So that's something I'm gonna look into down the line.
Ooh.
Sorry, I'm looking at this
Okey-dokey.
now. This is not what I expected it to be. It's a classic Sonic style thing. It
Yeah.
reminds me of the sort of merchandise we'd have got over here back in the day. Except for, it wouldn't be classic Robotnik, it would be Adventures Robotnik, because he was everywhere on our merch for some reason.
It's true.
Oh, that's really cool.
I mean, it looks very interesting. The box is almost like doesn't do it justice, because looking at the pictures of the board, it's some really like fairly detailed figures, and then lots of I would say it's probably classic clip art, but like very unique like poses you don't see in a lot of stuff.
Well,
it looks
I was
really
gonna say,
good.
The game was published by IDW, so I have to think that that's like original art.
Oh, okay. So it is canon.
Yeah, it's part of the new law that they're introducing into the new unified law in the Sonic world. Crash Course is an integral part of it.
Well, that's about it on my end. How about the rest of y'all?
I mean, it's Frontiers, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, everyone, to lift back the curtain a little bit, but we just not all of us, but the majority of us have played Frontiers, and can't be talking about that just yet.
So, our subject for today, we are diving into the wild world of Sonic storybooks. If you're a Sonic fan around our age, you might have some author names going around your head. Your Michael Tatebaums, your Martin Adams, and whether either of those are actually real people is a mystery to be solved another day on this podcast. Because today we are starting, you could almost say at the beginning of Sonic storybooks, because we are going over the Sonic Golden Books released in the very early 90s. It is possible if you're younger than us, you might be unfamiliar with Golden Books, but they are a brand that goes all the way back to the 40s that started with illustrated kids books like the Pokey Little Puppy, the Little Red Hen, lots of traditional folk tales and whatnot, and eventually expanded into like lots of familiar properties. I think just a couple of years ago they did like a little golden book for all of the Star Wars movies. Which a funny bit of trivia looking at just the Wikipedia for Golden Books, mentions like in 2015 they released a little golden book based on Star Wars Episode 3, The Revenge of the Sith, making it the first little golden book to be based on a movie property rated PG-13. And I mean, that just really tickled me.
Which is surprising considering how much they pushed, kids' versions of adult properties back in the day. Like, I'm surprised we never got Rambo, the little golden book.
Yes, a little golden book based on RoboCop the cartoon. But it's, it is a prestigious line that has basically expanded into like everything you can possibly think of. They got a damn Back to the Future little golden book illustrated with Funko Pop figures. It's kind of silly, but back in the day, like, I mean, I would say it was kind of a like cool big deal to do like Sonic the Hedgehog kids storybooks. And again, this was early 90s, like 93, 94. Which was like, the beginning of Sonic's media blitz. Like, these were all illustrated by Art Mawhinney, who worked on Sat AM and would go on to also work on the Archie comics for a long time. So, like, these look like Sonic did back in the day. They're cute. I'm excited to jump into these.
Yeah, like I have a lot of fond memories of at least one of these because I believe the second one back when I was a kid. As I was rereading it, I'm like, oh yeah, I still like remember most of this by heart and didn't even realize it. But these are definitely much younger skewing, even by Sonic standards. So I figure it's going to be fun to just kind of start out with something a little bit lighter before we start diving into some of the bigger, more epic Sonic stories in future episodes.
We do want to get into those proper storybooks for like the older kid audience. But yeah, we wanted to start at the beginning with some nice, simple, short, very pleasantly illustrated children's books.
Ones that I have no memory of because I am the Brit in the room, and these were obviously not released in my country, but they are fascinating to look at because this is more, it is of the collective sort of, at the time, the best way to describe it is this is the Sat.AM AOSTH amalgamation of sorts that Archie used to be. Looking at this,
yeah,
like back when I think Sat.AM was going to be lighter, and like all the media products that were being made at the time were sort of based on the early ideas for what it was going to be. That's kind of what this is.
Yeah, and we'll get into it when we run into them, but I would even say that there's a little bit of Sonic Bible in here too. Yeah. If maybe just the characterization, like they had to send this author something to get a grip on these characters, and I wouldn't be surprised if it was some Bible adjacent material, because it's kind of hard to get a solid date on when these were released. I think the closest we get is the second one might have been February of 94. But this was all kind of the same time where Sat AM was definitely being worked on and would come out. The Archie comics, the original miniseries was starting to get going, and it was part of the Sonic media blitz. Get him out there, get him in front of kids' faces.
Money.
That too. Definitely that too. All that said, we should start with the first book, which is officially called Sonic the Hedgehog, Sonic Shoes Blues. This one and all three of these books were written by John Michelig and illustrated by Art Mawhinney, who, like we said, would go on to have quite a large Sonic pedigree.
John Michelig, primarily an author around this time. He had done some other stuff, like a book on the history of G.I. Joe, stuff like that. These days, it seems like he does a lot of like video editing for advertisements and stuff. But I did actually find a blog post about a little bit of his history of how he got involved writing these Sonic books.
Oh.
Exact quote. A bit of background. In 1992, right after I left a short-lived designer-writer job at an ad agency, pretty much my only traditional office gig to date, I immediately made my availability known to Western Publishing, home of Little Golden Books, and a mere 25-minute drive from my base in a Milwaukee suburb. I'd done some work for them while employed at the agency. They were not actual clients, they were outside my non-compete agreement. A lot of what I'd done for Western Publishing was game-related. I'd watch kids play an as-yet-unnamed board game and then come up with a name and or tagline for it. Other times I'd write the instruction sheet. It was interesting work. While at the agency, I traveled down there with an account executive who also appeared on the eventual invoice. Now I was offering myself minus the pimp, which they thought was a pretty good deal. One day they asked if I'd like to write what they called a Golden Lookbook starring Sonic the Hedgehog. I pretended to be aware of Sonic and jumped at the chance. I had been paired with artist Art Mawhinney, whose work I knew. Turns out he lived and worked minutes away from Western Publishing's Racine headquarters, and I eventually found that he was a terrific person with whom to collaborate. I took the gig, of course. Job one was to borrow a Sega game console and play the hell out of the Sonic games to get a sense of what I was doing. Fortunately, I was given a fairly detailed character bible so I could better understand just what the Sonic verse was all about. This was before Sonic cartoons and movies appeared. Just a year later, there would be 2 cartoons. As I recall, the first book went fairly smoothly. My premise was simple. Sonic loses his super cool red shoes and the cocky rodent begins to doubt himself a bit. Can he still be super fast and super heroic without his shoes that can't lose? Would his friends still stick with him if he couldn't pull off amazing feats of speed? Yeah, it's an interesting read. It's cool seeing that little bit of history and knowing that, hey, they were even, pushing for this before the cartoons had happened. So that kind of helps to explain a lot of the little bits of, let's say, discontinuity between what we know from Sat AM and what, we get in the book.
I'm sorry, this fellow went out of his way to play the Sonic games before writing. That is a level of commitment that you would not often see, even in most media products based around Sonic.
A round of applause for this man.
Yep. Good for him. Especially when, I wonder if he omitted the part where they sent him the character Bible stuff and he went, well, none of the stuff I played applies to this.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't see no damn Princess Sally in this Vigi game.
I waited the whole time to see the man turn into a big egg.
Yeah, that is super fascinating. That also kind of deals with one of those, oh man, I feel like these days, even with our saturation on social media, the kind of writing that you really don't think about, which would you call that writing copy and copy editing? Like you said, doing playing a board game and then writing the instruction pamphlets. That is super fascinating. Yeah. Somebody's got to write those. That's super cool. That whole story. That's neat. That gives me an appreciation for these because, like you said, there is some discontinuity between this and Sat AM. But at the time this was written, Sat AM was not even out, so it's more like this established a lot of stuff first.
I think the most important thing I need to find out for certain is this what established the SWAT bot hammering the sign "No Fun Allowed" into the ground?
I'm pretty sure this is where it came from.
Yeah, let's jump into it. We on the cover here we've got Sonic Shoes Blues, and it's Art Mawhinney, he worked on Archie Comics up until, I want to say, pretty late. At least, I know he penciled 150. And, there's an argument to be said that his style never really translated to the post-adventure Sonic. But, gosh darn it, he draws a pretty nice-looking classic Sonic and crew.
For sure.
Yeah, like I said, the man worked on Sat AM. These books are very nicely illustrated. On the front cover we've got it's Sonic in his socks, missing his signature cool red sneakers, and everyone just seems very shocked that he wouldn't be wearing them. Which I guess this is we do see Sonic's feet in this one, and I've said it before, the internet has broken my brain forever. I will never be able to fully heal. So we're just gonna have to deal with that today, and that's okay.
We're gonna cope with it best we can this particular episode, until the future episode when we finally deep dive into the topic of Sonic the Hedgehog's feet, because that is the devices topic that has plagued the internet for so long.
I think I'm going to be busy that day.
I think I have a dinner date with Metal Sonic that day.
Don't worry, I've got some friends I can bring on to fill in for you guys.
I know you do.
Launching our new side podcast that's not affiliated.
I feel like we've, we have established we are a fairly progressive podcast. We're not going to yuck anybody's yum, but yeah.
I mean, I'm certainly not. It's funny that it's such a topic that inspires so much of an emotional response from people. So much so that STCTP have to take the time to point out, this is a topic we should not even think about. Let's just never consider the concept of Sonic having feet. I'm like, well, okay.
Well, all of the things we've stolen from them, maybe we should swipe that too.
Yeah, basically these books are short enough that we can read through them and comment page by page. So we're gonna do it like those old Disney book on tapes where you can read along, and when you hear this sound, that's your cue to turn the page.
Would say, well, we can skip straight to the first proper page with the beautiful scenery of the big tree. Whenever you're ready, Jake.
So without further ado, Sonic Shoes Blues. Once upon a time, not too long ago, the planet Mobius was a clean, green, wonderful place to live. The Mobians, as those who live on Mobius are called, lived in peace with each other and cared for the world that they inhabited.
I want to know which other children's book they stole this picture from.
Yeah, it does. That's not a very Sonic-y picture.
I'm getting like
even
Snow
in a
White
Sat.am terms.
I think Art might have had this one laying around already.
Yeah,
it's got little stone houses with thatched roofs, but that's.
Maybe he stole this from did he work on Adventures of the Gummy Bears? Because that's what that reminds me of.
Oh yeah, or even like the Smurfs or something like that. It's a very nice illustration.
Oh, for sure.
By the way, listeners, you can actually read along with us, and I recommend you do to see these lovely pictures, because these are picture books, essentially. You can find them on the internet.
They are scanned in full on Sonic Retro.
Very nice scans.
Beautifully so. All of that changed with the arrival of the evil Dr. Robotnik and his gang of polluting robots. He took over as dictator of the planet, ruling with an iron hand from his headquarters in the city of Robotropolis. Of course, the Mobian people are not at all happy with life under the rule of Dr. Robotnik, especially since he makes them work around the clock in his smoke-spewing robot factories. They know that Dr. Robotnik doesn't care how big a mess he makes of Mobius, just as long as he can stay in charge.
Like we mentioned before. Yes, introducing children to the concept of a fascist rule.
There's a lot to say about this image, is there not?
I like how the first page has the lovingly rendered old-timey script for the Once Upon a Time and everything, and then from here it's just plain old type text.
Yeah,
it sure looks like Arial.
Yeah,
and like you said, this is where the no fun allowed SWAT bot is from, not Archie Sonic. It's from this illustrated children's book. Oh boy. What you usually don't see when that is cropped out is the sign behind him that says merrymakers will be arrested.
This is Robotropolis, kind of. This is like that early Archie Robotropolis where it's just a bunch of factories and like a bit, and these weird topsy-turvy sort of these poorly balanced plate buildings that remind me of Robotnik's Lookout in the Adventures
I was going to say the same thing, yeah.
Yeah. It sure does look like something from that.
It's fun that they establish the signs, because that will be a recurring thing, as I recall. Because I know for sure there's another one like that in the second book.
But Dr. Robotnik, sir, is there any rhyme or reason as to the placement of your factories?
No, Snively. I do it for the lols.
But the Mobians still have hope, for they know that hidden in the secret underground Knothole Village, a brave team of freedom fighters led by super fast and super cool Sonic the Hedgehog are fighting a constant battle to overthrow the evil Dr. Robotnik and his gang of diabolical robots. The Mobians know that someday the planet will be free again.
Hold on to hope.
Don't give up, Pink Sally.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're seeing the early designs, I think, of the freedom fighters here. Not all of them. It's Antoine, Sally, Rota, Tails, and Sonic. Sorry. Did I say Rota? I meant Boomer. But we'll get to that.
Yes, he is still Boomer in this first one.
But you know what? Credit to him. He's got the sideways hat, and that looks super cool.
Yeah, it doesn't look like a Boomer right now. They are underground because this was during that time period where they thought that the Knothole Village is in a little underground base.
Yep, and it's just like generic cartoon tunnels.
Which I believe was... How long did that keep going in Archie? Because I remember it was definitely like that for the first few issues.
Yeah, at least, goodness. Yeah, probably at least both original miniseries, and probably until, like, even after, like, Art started drawing pencils in, like, issue 10. Probably, yeah, until they started doing a couple of more serious stories in, like, the 20s and 30s. It was still just...
They were definitely, I believe, topside by the time we got to the Sonic CD adaptation we did in a previous episode.
Because by that time, like, Sat AM had been out and airing proper, and so they had extra things to draw inspiration from.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is a nice hero shot of the main characters of these books. And the interesting thing is we pointed out before is that it appears Art Mawhinney has been drawing on like Greg Martin Sonic art for inspiration, because it's a little bit like Adventures of Sonic Mohawk, but he on this page specifically, he is sure doing that Martin smirk.
Yep.
It reminds me a little bit of like that early design of Sonic in the cartoons that we saw back when Princess Sally was like yellow from that cartoon that never really came out and sort of like was the the DNA of Sat AM. It's very stand-up spikes here.
Yep, and like we said, this is Pink Sally with her dark hair and blue nose, and you got brown tails and all that jazz. And Antoine looks a little different than you'd usually see him. His colors are a little different, but him and Rotor / Boomer look pretty on model from what we're used to seeing.
Yeah, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. One morning, deep underground in the hidden Knothole Village, Sonic the Hedgehog yawned and stretched. He was eager to begin another day of making Dr. Robotnik's life miserable, so the heroic hog wasted no time getting out of bed. Today's the day I really drive super bogus Robotnik and his rotten robots up a tree, Sonic thought to himself as he brushed his teeth super quick.
So here we have some after images of Sonic stretching in his bed, zooming between combing his hair in front of his standing mirror and brushing his teeth in a real pigsty of a room. We don't have super details. Again, it just looks like, it's a room in a dirt room underground. But I do like his boudoir of acorn-shaped first-place trophies that just say fastest.
Yeah. I'm worried about that vinyl record on the floor, though. I'm worried it's going to warp or get stepped on. Like, come on, you got to treat your vinyl records right, man.
I mean, especially close to that piece of pizza, just like right next to it. That grease is going to really mess up the groove, something fierce.
Yeah, we are establishing right away that Sonic is a disgusting slob.
He even has soap on the floor.
Yes, which, I mean, another hazard.
Which is absolutely counter to the Bible. As all we know, in Sonic's world, slobs finish last.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. They're going in their own direction already with this new this new continuity.
The Sonic I remember was a clean man. How dare they?
Sorry, BDG is like throwing his papers in the air at how blasphemous all of this is to the Sonic Bible.
Oh man. I'm gonna link that video again. It is worth recommending to people. Yep. But yeah, just a lot of generic cartoon mess here. I love he's got the little spinning propeller hat mixed in with like a basketball, and there's a kite and a second basketball in the background. So yep, Sonic's a messy dude as he's planning Robotnik's downfall.
Although I'll give it to him, his trophy case is almost spotless. He's got it very well organized.
We said, his 4 identical trophies that. Which, I mean, what contest was this? The annual fastest race here.
Sally probably just gave them to him to shut him up.
Yeah,
they're
exactly.
acorn-shaped, so.
Yeah.
Sally, this is all I have, please.
That was one of the only things left in her royal power to officially decree. Yes, Sonic, once again, you win.
I'm the coolest. Wait, that's Shadow. As he left his bedroom, Sonic met Princess Sally. Where's Tails? He asked impatiently. It's time to harass the pants off Dr. Robotnik. I'd take you along, but this is a job too dangerous for a girl. Ignoring Sonic's sexist comment.
Now, be careful about editorializing, Jake.
Sorry, yes.
Even when appropriate.
Let me take it again. Ignoring Sonic's comment, Sally looked down at his feet.
Well,
and that's the end. All right, I'll stop. Okay. Ignoring Sonic's comment, Sally looked down at his feet, which were clad only in white socks. I think even a He-Man like you will need to finish dressing before heading out on any too dangerous for a girl mission, she said with a smile. Well, oh my gosh, Sonic replied as he noticed his error. I was in such a hurry to get into action that I forgot to put on my super cool red sneakers. He quickly returned to his room to get them, known throughout Knothole Village as the shoes that never lose.
Known by who?
Exactly.
Yeah, like we don't see anybody else but these characters, so...
Known by Sonic and anybody else in range close enough to listen.
Yep.
Whether they want to or not.
I gotta say, starting with this page, this might be the worst of it. The second one, there are also some Sonic moments. He's a real jabroni in these books. We did establish that, the author was working with what he got, but I don't know, man. Like you said, the very casual sexism in a book for like 4-year-olds is a little much to me, but at least Sally is like the girl boss who is always going to be smarter than whatever stupid shit Sonic says. But yeah, you forgot your shoes, you dummy. The illustration is, yes, it's Sonic doing like a casual walk, and Sally's got her hands on her hips right outside Sonic's room.
Oh, that silly boy.
She's kind of got her foot sticking out like, haha, I have a shoe and you don't.
Yeah, is that kind of what she's, yeah, how you would like hold out, like, I think that is what she's doing.
It is that, boys are so dumb kind of look that you get from all the girl characters of that time period.
Oh, it's just what you have to put up with as a girl. If a boy really likes you, he'll treat you like shit, ladies.
He'll say that his shoes are too cool to lose. Once in his room, Sonic moved aside piles of clothes and comic books and went straight to the spot he last remembered seeing his sneakers. But they weren't there. The heroic Hedgehog hopped from place to place in the room, scattering his belongings this way and that as he searched frantically for the red sneakers. Before long, Sonic became nervous.
Oh man, he's searching deep because he's throwing away all of his Y-Men and Mouseman comics.
I really like these. These are some, I'm assuming some nice touches by the illustrator. Just some little gags. Because right below that, you also see Sonic has a Genesis with a bunch of generic games.
Yeah, with Pro Boxing, Y-Men, Videomania, Hockey, and Sonic 2, which I'm not going to think about that one too hard because that's a little going to break the fabric of reality.
I'm glad you said that second one from the bottom was hockey, because for a second I thought it was Maki, and I was like, is Senior Palo here? What happened?
Oh, no.
If everything is canon, one of the Twitter takeovers, the Sonic characters literally explained that, oh yeah, don't you know that there are people that find out about our adventures and make video games out of them?
Oh, no, I've just realized something. That's what happens in Sonic Live.
Oh, no!
That's for another day.
Not if I can help it.
You're entirely correct, though. But yeah, Sonic is zipping around other parts of his room. This is where we first realized that the Robotnik in all these books, despite there being, Hidden Knothole and Sally, it's Adventures of Sonic Robotnik. Like, it's definitely him.
100%.
Which is interesting. I feel like that version of Robotnik kind of fits the theme of this and like early Archie a bit better in a weird way. There's something strange about, sinister-looking Satayem Robotnik just being like, oh, gadzooks, that pesky porcupine has done this to me again! Oh!
Yeah. Yep. But yeah, we see that because Sonic has a dartboard with a picture of Robotnik on the bullseye.
Tails suddenly appeared in the room, eager as always to begin the day's adventure. Are you ready to go? He said. The ugly bird makes Robotnik squirm. Sonic quickly replied, Tails, you have to help me. I can't find my red sneakers anywhere. Looking around at Sonic's messy room, Tails could understand how even an elephant would get lost in there. But because the small fox admired Sonic, he didn't say anything that might annoy Sonic about the need for better house cleaning.
And enter Tails, and like we said, this is the brown Satayem Adventures Tales, but also the Tales, and especially these first two books, definitely fits that Stay Sonic description of, he means well, but he's a little dim. He's just kind of dopey. Especially, Tails is literally imagining a cartoon elephant hiding under Sonic's bed because it's so damn messy.
I'm looking at the second image in this page, and that Groucho Marx big nose and glasses thing.
Oh yeah,
it looks like there's a head of cabbage coming out of the nostril.
Yeah, at first glance you might think it's a big booger, but what is that? A big Brussels sprout? A head of lettuce?
Well, I mean, if this is a children's book, and it is, they might be going for an unfathomable booger.
It could be. I mean, it might just be a scribble to add to Sonic's incalculable mess here.
Sorry, I've already read this once before in prep, but then I'm looking at this again. I'm just like, what the heck is that?
Yeah, it is one of those.
That's a green tumor coming out of that nose. The two looked and looked, and although they found 3 half-eaten cookies, which Tails gladly disposed of while Sonic wasn't looking, a half can of soda, portions of Sonic's strange-looking acorn collection, 2 right-handed gloves, a shirt that Sonic forgot he had, and even a partridge in a pear tree, they couldn't find the super cool red sneakers anywhere.
Okay, this is what I meant. Tails is literally eating garbage off of the floor.
I feel like this is modern Tails here, just be like, that's incredibly unhygienic.
Yes. I know, yeah, the Tails we know today would give a cute ribbing to Sonic about his slobbish behavior, but Tails back in the day, no, he's a toddler eating crap off the floor. And, a partridge in a pear tree. I think that's pretty cute. Because, yes, we have an illustration of the literal bird in the fruit tree getting tossed away.
Well, the partridge looks horrified. He's like, I'm sentient. He kidnapped me.
I've been living under his dirty laundry for 3 days.
It is a cute, cartoon bird that is not a flicky.
Oh, yeah.
The second instance of us having a poor trapped bird in a Sonic medium.
We were fretting over the this whole thing is about Sonic taking his shoes off, but also he has spare gloves. I don't want to see those naked hands either. See Sonic's filthy fingernails he never cleans. Ugh.
He also has other clothes, which is weird. I mean, I know we discussed it in the OVA, but I'm always confused by Sonic having like a t-shirt. A Sega t-shirt, no less.
The one he forgot he had. Yeah, but he has a pile of clothes. We were talking before, there's also a hat on the ground that has a patch on it that says Mobius GS, and there's some part of my brain that is a reference to some 90s clothing line that I just can't remember, which would completely fit Sonic. You know, like, Sonic, if he was the real, would be like head to toe, like the Tommy Hilfiger of the 90s.
Yeah.
If any of our listeners know what this is, please feel free to write in. Not that I expect Sonic fans to know anything about things that aren't Sonic, but I understand.
Some other pop culture in there somewhere. All right, do we want to even pretend to discuss Sonic's weird acorn collection?
I mean, one of them has 2 points at the end. That's kind of weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is pretty weird.
It's like a
He's
tooth.
running through the forest and was like, oh, that's neat. Look at this, Sally. You know, Sonic, just because that's my name doesn't mean I actually care about real acorns. Yeah, but look at it.
Man's got to have a hobby.
If you ever lose a tooth, you can just shove this right up where it used to be. We're going to have to search the entire village, Sonic exclaimed. How can I be at my super speedy best without my super cool red shoes? On the way out of Sonic's room, he and Tails met Antoine. Antoine, Tails said, you have to help us find Sonic's red sneakers. He can't find them anywhere. Oh, I am not surprised. Antoine replied.
Perfect, Antoine.
Anton replied in his typical snotty manner. Haven't I told you 100 times to clean your room? You could lose an elephant in there. Tails had to smile to himself, but suddenly turned serious when he saw that Sonic was not amused. In fact, Sonic was so worried about the situation that he couldn't even come up with a wisecrack for wimpy Antoine.
Oh, dang.
Wow, yeah, that's some... The narrator has taking issue with Antoine, apparently.
Going for Antoine's throat here.
And notably, like, despite Jake's accent, notably no symptoms of that particular accent in any of his dialogue.
I know they did it in the comics. I don't think you can do that in a book for small children, because it will confuse them.
I think it's that, but also I don't think he had the accent early on in the comic either. I think, like, maybe that hadn't been established yet, that even though his name is literally Antoine.
Antoine de Culette. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd have to check that.
I think they bring out a little bit of the accent in the later storybooks.
Yeah, him and Bunnie, I think Bunnie always had like southern colloquialisms like y'all. But yeah, it would be a few issues in to where they would straight up like start writing her accent into the balloons, which yeah, I could take or leave. Sometimes I'm literally like, hey, look, man, I know southern accents and it's hard to read sometimes.
I'm not always a big fan of like phonetic accents in dialogue. Like, you can sort of pick apart when someone's got an accent. You don't necessarily need to have because Antoine's got real bad in some of the Archie ones. Like, it didn't even make sense from a French accent standpoint.
No. Like, just change a couple of these to Z's and
there you go.
You know. Like I said, he's not off model. He's just looking a little funny here. It's just these characters standing in the same hallway right outside Sonic's room again, and Antoine's, looking disapprovingly with an arched eyebrow. Okay, maybe it's the fact that his head is abnormally large.
Yeah, I think
like
that's
even
it.
for early Antoine
He's
art.
got real like Code Lyoko forehead going on.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, my god, he does.
Yep. Maybe that's it.
A permanently raised eyebrow.
He's got bags under his eyes too. Makes him look much, much older than he should compared to these other characters. Maybe he's just tired. Like
Tired of Sonic's crap.
Yeah, I look at that version of Antoine and I don't imagine Rob Paulson voice coming out. I imagine him being like, "Oh, Sonic, what are you doing this time? I warned you, Sonic."
I'm the one adult in this knothole village. Sonic began to wonder if perhaps the sneakers were not lost at all, but stolen. Okay, time for a meeting, Sonic exclaimed. Tails immediately began ringing the assembly bell. Soon, all the freedom fighters were together in the Knothole meeting hall. I've called you all here because two things that are very important to me and my feet are missing, Sonic began. And I think someone in this very room may have something to do with it. The group looked at one another in shock.
I imagine Sonic, before calling this meeting, took like a good 10 minutes to come up with that line.
Also, I appreciate that there is a wanted poster for a SWAT bot in the background, but it doesn't look different for any other SWAT bots, so who knows which one it could be.
It's specifically the one who put the sign down. They've got it out for that.
Yeah. You can't make out the detail, but they got his serial number down there, too. Specifically, this guy. He's trouble. But yeah, Sonic standing on top of their meeting table, which, looks like everything's made of wood.
It's a big stump.
But this is where Rotor also makes his debut, sitting around.
With that cool sideways hat.
Everyone looking very concerned at Sonic's statement.
Probably more so concerned that he would call a meeting over this and then accuse everybody.
J'accuse!
No, well, that's what Antoine would say.
J'accuse. I think you finally run into one too many brick walls, Sally said angrily. Believe me, I'll be happier than you when we finally get some shoes back on those feet of yours. I haven't been able to breathe since you started walking around in your stocking feet. Everyone laughed, but Sonic remained unusually serious. In fact, rather than firing back one of his usual lightning-quick wisecracks, he just waited for the group to finish enjoying Sally's joke before continuing.
Yeah, everyone is just pointing and laughing at Sonic. Sally is holding her nose. Yeah. Again, I mean, she could be joking, but I mean, I don't know. Like we said, we've established Sonic seems like a filthy, slobbish person.
I love them pointing. I love that. Just pointing. Look at that shoeless idiot.
Standing on the table like you were supposed to take him seriously.
I don't know if the rest of you noticed this. I know Sally's design was particularly naked back then, but there is a defined butt crack going on with Sally here.
Yeah, she's sliding back in her chair, but also like doing a laughing pose, like she's putting her leg up. And yes, you can't see her tail, which maybe would have been the solution to there, is to just cheat and break her tail to cover the line where her hip meets her back. But yeah, it looks like she is resting back on her ass crack here.
And that sort of thing is more of a Robotnik thing, to be honest.
Yes. We keep bringing it up. It's not like Archie wouldn't get there eventually, where, half the artists were just like, yeah, I did superhero books, so, boobs on this one, right?
I also like that Antoine's laugh is just him gritting his teeth really hard.
Which I guess that is part of it, is because Antoine does it's a uniform shirt, but he does wear the most clothes of anybody in these books.
That's true. I'll put out the lantern for 2 minutes, and the person who took my shoes can place them on the table, Sonic said. I won't even ask who took them. And with that, he blew out the lantern, and the room suddenly became pitch black. Sonic counted to himself until he was sure 2 minutes had passed.
Man, this page must have been really hard to draw.
Yeah. It's literally just the old cartoon eyes visible in pitch black. I like the touch that it literally was a lit lantern with a flame that was lighting the entire room.
Yeah.
Instead of switching the lights off, it's like, no, they're living with what they got.
They have no electricity down here, except for the fact that Sonic has a Genesis and a TV down there, but don't think about it too hard.
And allegedly a vinyl player as well.
Yeah,
he runs
the records.
Like he runs in a hamster wheel that powers on electronics.
There you go. He's very green.
Charge up the batteries he's got. But yep, he's pulling the old, I promise no one will get in trouble. I just want it back, Gambit.
I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
Yeah.
The whole thing's got big Parks and Rec Who Broke It energy.
Yeah.
Then relit the lantern. When Sonic's eyes adjusted to the brightness around him, he saw that the room was empty except for a note on the table. It said, "If you don't trust us, then maybe you don't need us. We'll handle Dr. Robotnik without you." Oh, snap.
That's a pretty big fuck you, but I wouldn't say it's undeserved in this situation. Yeah. But it does seem rather drastic on his friends.
They were so pissed off they managed to write all of that in the dark,
Yeah.
It's either that or they prepared it ahead of time because they like, oh, Sonic's gonna pull his shit again, better get a note ready.
Look, next time he does it, I've got this ready. Just drop it and leave.
I've got a whole folder of these different responses.
Man, that Cheshire Cat grin on that Wanted Robotnik poster back there.
Oh, yeah. The pearly whites.
It's bugging me out.
It's like even that Wanted poster knows Sonic up.
Isn't that a gag in Adventures of Sonic? I think, is it the comic book one where does Robotnik kiss an illustration of his own face and then the illustration goes like, you know.
That was Coconuts in the first episode where he's got like a photo of Robotnik and he's like, and then it pulls a little face afterwards. I love that.
Okay, now this next page, this is where things start to fall apart for me.
Yeah.
Now Sonic was angry. He hopped off the table and scowled. Fine, he thought. Even with a blindfold, I'm better than all of them put together.
Okay, I have to ask the question. Did he make a blindfold out of his own sock?
Yeah, I just thought about that.
He is missing it.
Yes.
Suspiciously missing a sock, revealing his Bugs Bunny-esque foot here.
It really is. What is this is what I meant, where Sonic just does not seem to have all of his normal faculties. He's being kind of a goober.
This feels almost like the illustration came first and the writer was like, I don't know what's happening here, but I'll come up with something.
Because what we're looking at is Sonic has hopped off the table, like we said, took off one of his socks, tied it around his eyeballs, and is now wandering through the room, knocking things over because I guess even though there's nobody else left in Knothole, he's going to show them.
Even the wanted poster of Robotnik in the back is just like, ew.
Yeah. Oh, come now, Sonic, you're better than this.
He's not smiling anymore. He's like grimacing.
Maybe they had a page count.
The artist is drawing this and like, why did Sega specifically ask for this scene?
It's not my department.
Above my pay grade. A little later, above ground, the rest of the fearless freedom fighters made their way toward the city of Robotropolis. This doesn't feel right without Sonic here to lead us, Boomer whispered. He always seemed to know exactly what to do. And he could lay the hand with this load, arg! Antoine whined. Well, he's nothing but a stocking-footed sap now, Sally said. That's really good. Although she secretly missed Sonic as well. Besides, we have a job to do, Sonic or no Sonic. She gestured toward a tall pipe that spewed black smoke into the sky. It's up to us to plug that giant smokestack with this big cork before it kills off the entire forest. And we could smoke out all the worker bots inside and maybe find a clue to help us find Uncle Chuck, Mutsky, and Sally's father, too, Tails added eagerly as he streaked ahead.
So
that reads as mention all the other characters in the Bible.
Yeah.
Including Sally's father, who will continue not to have a name until Archie figures it out.
I think we're specifically talking about the Sat AM Bible here, not to get our Bibles mixed up. This is like the New Testament, I guess.
One of those extra canonical Catholic books.
The Book of Enoch.
Yeah.
Now, this isn't their most sophisticated act of eco-terrorism against Robotropolis.
Not in the least.
I guess, like the first page of Robotropolis, it is introducing them that they want to stop all this. And how do you do that in the most toddler appropriate way possible?
A big cork.
On the first page, they mentioned that, Robotnik forces people to work in the factories, but didn't say anything about, turning them into robots. But then they're like, well, we'll back the smoke up and smoke out all the robots. And I guess maybe this particular factory has no actual Mobians working in it. Or maybe I'm overanalyzing a book for baby children.
Not possible.
I like the fact that Tails says he's trying to smoke out the worker bots. Well, I guess vision is important. I was thinking maybe Tails thought that they breathed. That they breathed.
That's also funny.
Nah, he's gonna smoke out the worker bots, brah.
Cyberlink 420.
God damn it.
The illustration is of Sally, Antoine, and Rotor carrying a giant cork for like a jar or whatever. And Tails is not helping at all. He is running ahead because they brought the baby along on this very dangerous mission.
Wait, Tails, Sally yelled after him. There may be... But before the feisty heroine could finish, Tails tripped over a wire that sprung several traps. In a split second, everyone found themselves ensnared. Oh no, cried Sally. Robotnik and his creeps will be here any moment now. A low rumble could be heard in the distance. Dr. Robotnik was already on his way. This is all my fault, Tails said. Like Sally always tells me, I have to learn to think before I act. Listen to this lesson, children. Think before you act or you'll be caught in a cage.
That does sound like one of those.
Tails noticeably trapped in what seems like a realistic fox trap.
Oh, it sure is. And, the rest of the gang in a, like a snare net that came up all around them.
Speaking of visible butt cracks.
Oh boy.
No. Okay, if you look close, you could see it's like his knees are bent and he has like a bump where a butt would be, but because it's it is pretty.
That's a lot of purple cake there.
That's some war ass right there. Also worth noting that this is not Robotnik's most sophisticated trap as well. It's literally like a pulley system with a rope.
It sure worked, though.
I mean, yeah, like, functionally. Just not what you'd expect from, well, actually, you'd expect it in Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, and we're sort of in that middle ground right now.
Don't overthink it. Sometimes a tripwire is all you need.
Yeah.
And immediately they can hear the caravan of Robotnik's troops heading towards them. So I just imagine, like, he's sitting there, like, with binoculars watching, like, here they come!
But, sir, you could just fire the missiles. No. This is much more satisfying.
When he gets tripped, he's like, oh, that worked! Oh, cool!
I told you, Snively!
I told you it was worth consulting Mystery Inc.
Yeah.
Or think before you accuse, said Sonic as he appeared from behind a tree with a basket of goodies. Even with my fabulous footwear lost, I'm too noble and heroic a hog to let my freedom fighter friends down, Sonic said. I can't help it, it's just the way I am. Braggadocious. In fact, I can remember my Uncle Chuck telling me many times that, well, it's good to see you out and about, Anton broke in from his cramped quarters. But do you think you could get us out of here and finish your story later? Oh, sure, Sonic calmly replied. But actually, I brought you all some gifts that you really need right now.
So, yeah, Sonic appears right next to all his friends hanging in the net. He's got his green backpack on that would appear in various media. And yeah, just won't shut the hell up.
I am so humble.
Back during the days when Sonic needed some sort of he needed some sort of bag to put things in before he just decided to have it sort of materialize from his butt.
Yeah, he'd always need at least a knapsack to put the giant power ring in to save the day with. These are all very wonderfully illustrated. Poor Sally's face does seem to be broken in this 2 3/4 looking angle here.
A little bit.
It happens a lot. The way her muzzle is designed, it's hard to get at certain angles.
Limited model sheets, I'm sure.
It can't all be winners. It's okay.
The trapped freedom fighters gasped and looked at each other in amazement. Can we do this another time? Sally exclaimed. Can't you hear Dr. Robotnik and his gang coming? Don't be so ungrateful, Sonic said as he unpacked his load. Gross. So sorry.
You saw it and you went for it.
Low-hanging fruit. Sally, here's a 3-pound box of your favorite chocolates. Boomer, please accept this brand new bowling ball. And for Antoine, a small but sharp pair of scissors for trimming your tiny little mustache, as well as the scope so you can find that little suckers. That's a burn. That's a burn and a half.
His whole face is covered in fur.
I guess. I mean, does he mean like the whiskers that he like feels things with? Sonic's Gambit is revealed immediately on the next page, but this is a little silly.
Little man. I like that Tails is watching from the distance like, do I get anything?
Poor Tails. There's something about the distraught look on Tails' face in that cage. Left alone. It's so great.
He can't even stand up. He's stuck, like, shoved forward onto his stomach with his legs pinned behind him.
I want a present.
Exactly.
I got gifts from my best friends in the whole world. Hi, Tails.
The people I care about the most.
What do you think you are, STC Sonic?
Sonic sort of like showing off some, God, you know those kind of toxic people who act out and then they have to like overcompensate for their terrible actions. Be like,
Oh, yeah.
I'll make up for it by buying you all this stuff. Yeah, love bombing.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Jesus. It's a little too real.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Sonic is that kind of narcissist in this continuity.
I like the tiny drawing of Dr. Robotnik in the background, too.
Uh-huh.
Just kind of a little red lump.
Oh, Lord, he coming.
Yep.
Suddenly, Dr. Robotnik and his gang arrived on the scene. So I have you all, the fiendish villain cackled, as well as the stocking-footed hedgehog. How does it feel to taste defeat? Ha ha ha!
I don't get it.
They've used that like 3 or 4 times already. Like that does not seem like a distinctly American thing to call socks stockings.
No, it doesn't.
Like, I hear that like a lot over here, so that's strange.
Yeah.
And the fact that they won't let it go is like, haha, look, guys, no, don't you understand? Sonic is in his stocking feet. That's really funny.
Stockings.
And it is interesting that, Robotnik is back not only by his SWAT bots, but also some classic badniks.
Yeah. You've got a Sad AM Cluck, but then like you said, SWAT bots. Looks like a Burrow bot and a Caterkiller.
And Tails is on the front lines of getting walloped by every single one of them.
Yeah. And it really, I don't know if it's just the contrast between the cartoony little badniks on the ground, but these SWAT bots got legs for days, man.
They sure do.
Oh, but yeah, I love this illustration of Robotnik. It's like, oh, okay, you see why he looks like that when you read the terrible pun. But yeah, he's got like his finger pointing and like a look on his face.
Yeah, just straight up AOSTH Robotnik in his little AOSTH egomatic hovercraft, and
Yep.
It's weird, but I like it.
The ensnare group was about to become frantic when Sonic calmly asked, Antoine, may I borrow your nifty brand new mustache trimmer and scope? Antoine handed them to him, and Sonic immediately cut a hole in the net. Ha ha, laughed Caterkiller as he advanced on the heroes. You may free some of your friends, but we'll keep the little two-tailed fox.
So you'd see Sonic's gambit is revealing itself to where the presents he brought are actually helping him free his friends. But, I mean, how did Sonic know to bring scissors to cut through the net? I guess it doesn't matter, does it?
This is where we have the ding from.
Oh God! Okay, now I'm really gonna shut up. Oh boy, let me go hang myself real quick. I'll be back.
This Caterkiller got a line in this. Good for him, I suppose. I think. Has there ever been a Caterkiller using lines in anything other than maybe STC?
I want to say I'm remembering the Archie issue where Sonic is on trial after Mecha Madness for disobeying a royal decree. He goes to the abandoned like casino junkyard with a bunch of badniks, and I think they all are chatting up a storm trying to get Sonic. And I want to say that there's a Caterkiller that literally laughs at him and goes like, ha ha, like old Chick Tracks. Like the demons in Chick Tracks would always go, ha ha. I don't like this Caterkillar's mouth, though. I feel like Caterkillars should open their whole face and not have like a cartoony mouth like this one. It's scaring me.
Well, when you said open their whole face, I thought of like someone like the modern like demon creatures you see in media where like their face opens and it's like 4 different like mouth sections.
No, I mean like a like a chain chomp or a the fish badniks that kind of open up instead of like this mouth that is more like a human mouth on a Caterkiller and his teeth that are the same color as his spines.
Yeah.
I don't like this Caterkiller.
There's just something weird. There's just something weird about like classic Badnik speaking these days. Like I was used to it in STC, but it feels like they were just given like the early Sonic Bible where it was listing here's all of Robotnik's Badniks. I'm like, oh, so these are the characters we have to use, right? Yeah, that's what it feels like.
The Caterkiller kind of reminds me of Rolf from Ed, Edd n Eddy.
Oh, he does. He does kind of have that same kind of weird face, doesn't he?
Life has many doors, Sonic Boy.
Kaioken. Oh wait, wrong card.
I got it.
No, you won't, oh wormy one, Sonic replied, and freed his netted friends, which sent the big cork catapulting through the air, narrowly missing Dr. Robotnik in his hover-matic flying machine. Ha! Your aim is off, Hedgehog, Robotnik snickered. Look again, Chubby, answered Sonic. Everyone turned to see the giant cork continue its flight, finally dropping right into the smoke-spewing chimney and plugging it with a plop. Bullseye, Tails shouted. The smoke, having no place else to go, filled the building until the walls began to bulge. My beautiful factory! Robotnik cried. Everyone retreat! We have to save my beautiful factory! Get your blocks and start over, Sonic snickered as he freed Tails. And we'll wreck another one sooner than you can say Robotnik is balder than a cue ball. I'll get you yet, you goody no-shoes! The foiled villain sputtered as he sped away with his gang.
So Sonic used the scope to plot the trajectory and then carefully snipped the net so it would fling it towards the factory.
Apparently Sonic has a degree in physics.
Yeah, because I mean that's a pretty hard shot to make, but I had good for him.
Especially considering it wouldn't go that direction, I'm pretty sure. Looking at it.
Okay, and I'm guessing... Okay, the bowling ball and the heavy box of candy for Sally, was that to like help weigh them down so they wouldn't get caught with the cork? But then Antoine wasn't holding anything, so...
Yes, but we all know how Sonic feels about Antoine.
Yeah. In the back of his head, he's like, well, if it happens, it happens. And again, but he's not freed on this page. Poor Tails is
still stuck there.
He looks like a fish flopping around. But yeah, you get a double take of Robotnik looking back to see his factory being destroyed.
His beautiful factory. The next day, Sonic invited the group to his newly tidied room. I hardly recognize the place, Tails remarked. Well, I think I've learned that a little housekeeping can be a lot of help, Sonic confessed, because while I was cleaning, I found my super cool red sneakers under the sheets of my bed. Well, I hope you also learned that you don't need things like super cool shoes to be brave and clever, Sally advised. Just like I don't need an expensive hairdo. You'd still have a crush on me even if I had a crew cut. Sonic blushed and then blurted out, in your dreams.
Somebody must have already drawn that fan art.
Yeah, I mean, I'm choosing not to interpret this in the most negative way possible, which was back in the 90s.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, she's got a short haircut. She must be a lesbian.
Well, yeah, that's inappropriate. She did not need a crew cut to fall in love with Nicole, so...
That's true.
Yeah, exactly. I do like some good synergy with the pictures and the words here is that Sonic has cleaned his room, but in the corner Antoine is pulling up a blanket where it just looks like Sonic has bunched up all the garbage and thrown it over there. That's pretty cute.
Yeah.
Literally swept under the rug.
Yeah. Yep. But yeah, found your shoes in your bed, dude.
I was about to ask.
On. Come on. Oh,
going to sleep with his shoes on. And I suppose you're wondering why everyone got a present but you, Sonic said to Tails. Well, maybe because I messed up again, the small fox answered quietly. No, Sonic laughed. It's because I wanted to give you my super cool red sneakers. If anyone could fill my shoes, though nobody really can, it would be you. Thanks, Sonic, Tails said as he accepted the red shoes with a smile that stretched from pointed ear to pointed ear. Stay in the low gears at first, Sonic said. Now, can anyone come with me to buy some new shoes? I've worn out 3 pairs of socks.
We can see his gross toes.
Yeah. Iris out. Everybody laughs. Yeah. So we established throughout this entire thing that Sonic is not a very hygienic super speedy hedgehog. So, he finds his shoes so he can give them to Tails, his number one fan. And boy, howdy, thanks, dude. Your stinking shoes, which, they go out of their way to establish Tails idolizes Sonic, so probably very much appreciates the present. Although this illustration of Tails is a little off. It seems like he's in between emotions.
I mean, if you were given smelly shoes by your hero, then you would also be between emotions.
Yeah.
The same shoes that caused familial drama just a day ago.
Yeah. It's interesting that they don't go for it, because I can't remember if that's in Archie or maybe that's only in Underground that Uncle Chuck made Sonic shoes because he was burning through so many regular sneakers. But that's kind of seems implied in some of this text that they are special, but then he just says he's going to go buy some new ones. So I don't know. Uncle Chuck is mentioned in this book.
He's going to go buy them from the guy.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah.
Hey.
They're one of a kind, so you think he would not be able to get them, because where else is he going to get his super cool red sneakers? And by the way, this whole book, it's super cool is one word, I should note. We've had to read that over and over.
Super cool. I guess he'd get them at the same place Tails got his knockoffs. Tails, your Jordans are fake.
I knew it was coming.
Oh no! And then our last page is another title page. Although it does say it's the Sonic the Hedgehog logo, and then says Special Edition before the trademark information for Sonic. I wonder if these were out of the ordinary, I guess, to do a golden book based on a video game property. I'm pretty sure by this time they were doing lots of Disney properties. You had your Snow Whites and golden books and whatnot. But yeah, all of these do say special edition.
Must be something special about them.
Feet.
It's that they starred everyone's favorite blue hedgehog, Sonic.
Yeah, that's it.
So we are jumping straight to our second book, again, written by John Michelig and illustrated by Art Mawhinney. And it is called Sonic the Hedgehog 2, The Secret Admirer.
Using the Sonic 2 logo.
Yes, the official Sonic 2 logo. It's pretty funny. I really desperately wish there was a fourth one of these books so we could have gotten an official Sonic the Hedgehog 4 logo, almost 30 years ago now.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the part where the Death Egg shows up in this one.
Oh no! I missed this first page on the inside first that specifically says this is dedicated to the memory of Jeffrey Scott Davy, age 7, one of Sonic's greatest fans.
No!
Oh my goodness! Oh,
That's so tragic.
I'm not making fun of a child's death, but we have a dedication for this one. Lord have mercy. Okay, well, now let's read this book in funny voices.
I definitely glossed over that when I had this one as a kid. This was the one of these that I definitely remember having, and I could tell because when I reread it, I recognized a lot of these pages word for word.
This is dedicated to a poor past child. This better be one hell of a book.
Well, I will say at the beginning, I think all of these books, they get better as they go on. So you at least got the second best book.
Whooshing at the speed of sound, Sonic the Hedgehog roared through the woods of the planet Mobius, laughing as he dodged trees and boulders with the greatest of ease. Far behind, an angry swarm of Dr. Robotnik's metallic morons gasped for breath as they tried to catch up. I did not realize SWATbots had to breathe.
Well, I mean, they are assuming the position of running out of breath. I need you to read Sonic is zipping past. He has defaced Robotnik's city rules with some graffito, but I need you to read this sign for me too, Luke.
I would love to. Welcome to my city. Observe these rules. Number 1, no smiling, laughing, or giggling. Number 2, no music or dancing. Number 3, no toys allowed. Number 4, all candy must be given to the Robotnik. Number 5, no blue hedgehogs allowed. Number 6, all who enter must work in the robot factory. Number 7, no Nintendo playing.
Wow.
That's, okay, so do they mean Nintendo in the American meaning for Nintendo at the time, meaning all video games? Or, or like, Nintendo as in, like, that's the sort of thing you would expect in a Sonic comic at the time, because they were like, and Genesis does and all that. But, like, this is Robotnik's sign. He'd be like, only Nintendo playing!
Yeah. I choose to interpret it as both, that it is a Robotnik is an old man your parents' age who calls every video game a Nintendo, and also a sly jab like, yeah, no Nintendo, Sonic only. I love very much for the child audience that all candy must be given to Robotnik. Oh no.
His teeth are going to get even more fucked up.
Yeah, even more fucked up than they are in this sign, because Sonic is, like, drawn over his teeth to give him, like, the little holes. But it's a red marker, so it looks like he's just... Oh no, he's got, like, some horrible gingivitis or something, and he's been bleeding.
His teeth look like the Carnival Night Barrel.
Oh.
I just realized he has drawn a poorly drawn 8 on Robotnik's head because he's an 8 bald. He's bald.
Yeah, of course. I was wondering what that was.
But you call a bald person a cue ball, but...
See, I thought it was a target, but yeah, that does look more like an 8 now that I look at it closer.
Sonic, you silly Billy. Maybe he's just not familiar with billiards.
The background is Robotropolis, a bit more like the Robotropolis we would know from SAT-AM, with the little sci-fi buildings, but it still has the typical, like, smokestack factories as well.
Yep.
Yes, this is also a much more recognizable Art Moeni, like Archie era Sonic, where he does not have the mohawk, and he kind of looks like, like Art's take on, like, official, like, Japanese Sonic clip art.
Yeah. It's kind of weird in this time period for Sonic to look like that when not drawn by, say, maybe Patrick Spaziante.
But it looks really good. I would even say, like, the art is a step up from that first book.
That bolthead Robotnik is as dumb as they come, Sonic chuckled to himself. Does he really think he can build a robot and catch me? With that, Sonic became a blue blur as he went into a Sonic spin. We get a really nice kind of splash image here of Sonic tricking the SWAT bots into crashing into a tree and then diving through a maze of tunnels into the underground of Knothole.
Yeah, the classic false tree stump knothole slide.
Yeah, straight up from early Archie.
Yeah, and I mean, this is almost like a sequential, like, comic art page. Mm-hmm. It's neat.
Yeah.
I've enjoyed how, like, action has been portrayed in the book so far, like covering one page and, like, kind of just having these action lines that clearly define which way things are going.
It is interesting now that I read that the actual words, like, all it says is, Sonic went into a spin, and doesn't actually say that, and he hopped into the secret entrance to Knothole. So I wonder if, the author and the illustrator, like, worked in tandem, or if it really was like, one finished first and the other just filled in the blanks.
I mean, it sounds like, based on that blog post we read, that they were, like, pretty collaborative on this process.
That's cool. That's neat.
Yeah.
I think it really works well in the finished product.
I also wrote a note about this page saying, actually, it's not a Sonic spin, it's a buzzsaw, okay?
It's a Sonic spin dash, even.
I mean, if it was SAT-AM, wouldn't you call it, like, his triple spin or something? I don't know, I get all the terms mixed up at this point.
Or triple S is also... because I think supersonic spin. Yeah, that's why he would call it the triple S sometimes. Whoever was writing the script that week decided what it was called.
Speed, skill, and good looks, Sonic thought aloud as he headed into his cave. The keys to my success. Another job well done. I noticed you didn't include brains in that list, Princess Sally said, appearing from the shadows of the cave. Sally was Sonic's good friend and fellow freedom fighter. She added, you still have to learn to wipe the mud off your shoes when you come in. Sonic scowled as he mocked. It's hard enough to be heroic, Leave it to you to find something wrong with just about anything. Princess Sally chuckled. It's no picnic keeping you in line either.
This bickering old couple here. It's kind of cute. You've got Sonic as indeed tracked mud all over of the dirt floor. Again, we're still in the cartoony underground cave here as he's admiring himself in a stand-up mirror.
15 years later, Night of the Werehog, he still hasn't learned any better.
You beat me to it. I was going to say that.
Well, yeah, talking about little things that have stuck with Sonic's character. Motherfucker doesn't know how to wipe his feet.
That's not dirt floor. That's just shag carpeting.
Oh, no. That's even worse. Well, then, Sally, okay, why would you mop the carpet then, okay? Okay, you're also not playing with a full deck in this scene either, so...
Like, even if we play with, like, go with the idea that it's a dirt floor, imagine mopping a dirt floor.
Yeah. Okay, it's funny again. And Sonic, hey, good for Sonic. He does do it. He takes the mop from Sally and, grumpily cleans up after himself.
Yeah, he does do it to it.
Which, yeah, we still have Pink Sally. Unlike Sonic, she is virtually unchanged from her last appearance in these books.
And she don't chuckle.
Picnic! They exclaimed together. We nearly forgot we have to meet the rest of the freedom fighters in the woods to try out Rotor's surprise new invention, Sonic said as he zipped around gathering supplies. And I'm in charge of bringing ketchup, Sal exclaimed. Poor Tails can't eat anything without globs of ketchup on it.
There's a lot of ketchup.
The perfect illustration of that Tails is a very, very young child.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
He gotta douse everything in catsup.
Tails is the kind of kid who eats everything with like lots of ketchup on it, but refuses to eat actual tomatoes.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Okay, so you have just literally described Jackie.
Oh.
I mean, I would throw my hat into there as well, as I still prefer tomatoes cooked in something or in ketchup form than any real tomatoes.
I do kind of feel you there. I've sort of like, I used to really dislike tomatoes as they were, but nowadays I've sort of adapted my taste, but I don't know, tomato soup, tomato ketchup, it is better.
Yeah.
There's no denying it.
I will say that part of it is, and I'm like this with other things as well. I'm like this with watermelon, is it has to be a really nice tomato. And like we have friends of ours who have home gardens who will give us tomatoes, and those are delicious. Ooh. Like I've had, I forget what you call it. Is it caprese salad with mozzarella and tomato with olive oil? Ooh. That's delicious. And I will eat a nice fresh organic tomato in a salad, but especially as a kid, like if it came on a hamburger, I would, I'm like, Mom, there's tomato on it.
No, I was right there with you.
I absolutely would with French fries and chicken nuggets is go knuckle deep in a pool of ketchup.
Knuckle deep.
So yes, all that to say, a very cute and accurate detail for Tails the Fox, the small picky child.
I feel like maybe the writer was like, I don't want to assume that the writer has children, but at the very least has been around children to write that very specific detail.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Or maybe they were a child once. Who knows?
The illustration itself is just very cute. It's Sonic is packing things into a picnic basket, and Sally is carrying appears to be 4 full bottles of ketchup to the basket. And, they forgot about the picnic when they pinned up a giant poster that says Freedom Fighters Picnic Today, so I guess they walked past that.
It's hard to see much behind a mountain of ketchup bottles.
They arrived to see the rest of the freedom fighters gathered around the picnic table, impatiently waiting for the tardy twosome. Antoine, the best cook in Knot Hole Village, was doing his best to keep everything warm. Sorry, gang, Sally said. Sonic needed extra time to mop up. We can tell stories later, Sonic said suddenly. Can't you see that these people are hungry? Bring on the chili dog, Chef Antoine. Rotor seems displeased.
Chef Antoine got that pot belly.
I like how Sally is still just carrying the ketchup bottles, didn't even put them in the basket.
It's just how she carries them, I suppose. Like, I know that's like how you establish that people are getting ready for food, as they have cutlery in their hands, and it's a funny little bit that Sonic just jumps right on there with a napkin and a knife and fork. But are you going to be eating chili dogs with a knife and fork? Is that a thing that people do?
Well, I mean, if they're really messy, I guess. I know my dearly departed Meemaw used to make big old hot dogs where you toast and spread out the bun kind of flat, and you lay the hot dog down and then just pile toppings on top of it.
Nice.
Until where you could not pick it up without getting it all over you. So that is what I would think why you would eat a chili dog with a fork and knife, or as Tails and Sonic are holding a two-pronged fork and knife.
Oh, yeah, you're right, it is.
Maybe that was just hey, this piece of paper is pretty small. I can only fit the two prongs in.
I'm Sonic the Hedgehog, and I only eat with tuning forks.
Does look kind of like one.
So yeah, but I mean, I think what it is like you said, it's just the universal cartoon of getting ready to eat, because he also has a bright red napkin tied around his neck as well.
Yeah.
Maybe it's also just to teach the young kids, hey, remember to use your cutlery every time and say grace and all these things.
Not saying you couldn't do it. Antoine does seem to be grilling the hot dogs with the chili on them, which is a choice. I'm assuming they've also got some nice elote on there, corn on the cob with some seasoning.
Yep. I did wonder if that's what it was.
I mean, I'm not sure, but that sure would be yummy.
Yes, it would.
Rotor's very ticked off. He had to wait. I'm like, hey, as a big fella, I get you.
Yep.
I know you were on time, Rotor.
Sonic ate all his food before the others and looked at the grill. I see you've noticed my smogless portable grill, Sonic, Rotor said with pride. I call it the Smog Sucker 2000. This dome on top has a suction device that draws the smoke up, through these tubes, and into the storage canister. That's neat, I guess, Sonic said. But I was actually noticing there's still one more chili dog left to eat.
This thing actually seems like a real device.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like somebody's prototyped this out there.
It kind of looks like those big green egg barbecue grills that you see at hardware stores.
It's good for everybody else for being genuinely interested in Rotor's diagram here he's showing. Sonic is potentially about to burn his hand reaching right in there.
I know, yeah.
It would serve him right.
It's fine. He's got gloves on.
Now that the video games have Sonic eating chili dogs, something I don't want to think about is, yes, eating dripping chili dogs with cheese and onion on them with your pristine white gloves.
Well, we've established in the Twitter takeover that Tails coats their gloves with a special resin.
Oh, yeah.
The white. That is canonical now.
Forgot about that. Everything is canon.
It's like being a Transformers fan.
I do love the Smog Sucker 2000. That is a name.
Yep.
It's up there with Dr. Eggman's Super Sucky Machine.
Yeah.
I think by today's standards, Rotor just basically made an air fryer.
Oh, okay. Clearly you don't own an air fryer.
But now we do because I created it.
He would have created a George Foreman grill before George Foreman ever got the patent to that stuff.
This is the era of the George Foreman grill.
And Sonic gets the little tray underneath. Is like, don't mind if I do. He eats the calories.
I just watched the episode of Futurama where Bender becomes a wrestler and George Foreman's head is just slurping up the fat that's coming off of the grill.
This seems as good a time as any to bring up my new grill for no reason. With its patented design, the fat drains directly into my mouth.
Oh boy.
I feel like people don't use those anymore. Maybe they got sick of realizing, oh yeah, everything I eat is horrendously unhealthy. Oh well.
Yeah. I mean, we definitely have one around the house, and I think the last time I used it was specifically for chili dogs, because I'm like, I don't want to boil them in the water. I don't want to get out our actual grill. Yeah, I'd plug the old Foreman in there, and it works fine.
If I'm going to be a Sonic fan in my late 30s, I've got to make these little adjustments to my diet.
I'll use the recipe straight from Archie.
Oh, that is our go-to when we want like fancy hot dogs for dinner. Like that is me. I'm like, well, let me go to the store with this piece of comic book because it is a halfway decent recipe, man. Oh, it's good.
We're gonna have to save some of this for our inevitable Sonic food episode.
Oh my gosh, yes!
Sonic food, Sonic food.
Stomach cramps keep coming faster.
Oh no.
Toilet is a big disaster.
Feeling like I'm sick from motion. Well, I am very impressed, Rotor, Princess Sally said. This is truly a wonderful surprise. Now Antoine can do his awesome cooking at our picnics without worrying about Robotnik or his rotten robot army seeing the smoke and breaking up the party. Hooray for Rotor, Tails said. Another great invention! Everyone cheered hip hip hooray 3 times before getting ready to head back to the village.
Oh, we don't see this enough, don't we? We don't see
Yeah.
Rotor actually
Rotor.
getting, the praise he deserves.
Sometimes genius is recognized in its time.
Yes.
Everybody being so supportive. And also, like, I like the fact that they are giving Antoine credit that he is a good cook.
Yeah.
And not just like, yeah, Antoine, you piece of shit, you're here too.
I love that they're forcing him to make chili dogs, though. It's like, I have studied for years in French cuisine, and this is what you make me create for you disgusting creatures.
I am French, damn it! I can make better food.
Even Sonic is giving a polite round of applause with his mouth full of the last chili dog in the corner here.
It's a nice touch.
Tails, he's still a few shades off, but he is more orange in this
Yeah,
one.
now his muzzle
like-
and fur is full white.
He's got the little wristbands around his glove that he also had back in the day.
Oh yeah.
Since you and I made everyone wait, Sonic, the least we can do is carry Rotor's special grill, Sally said. I'll carry the middle, exclaimed Tails, always eager to help his idol Sonic. Oh, all right, Sonic said. Let's just hurry up and get back. I'm hungry again. Load up the smoke snorter thingy and... That smog sucker 3000, Rotor said as he handed the hefty load to Sonic.
Another very cute touch is that is what a little kid does. Is like, oh, I'll help too, and they just kind of stand there and pretend like they're making a difference as Tails is slipped under this sling they have the grill in.
Although he's supporting a bunch of it on his back. Yeah.
Terrible for his posture.
He's young enough; he'll be fine.
Rotor is now full and contented and gets to take a victory lap as he walks home. Good for him.
As they walked, the group found a basket on the path. It contained Solar Sugar Snap Snacks and a note that said, I think you're keen. Rotor picked it up and said, How nice! I forgot it was my birthday. Antoine sighed. Your birthday is 4 months away from now, Einstein. Sonic quickly snatched it away. It's obviously for me. How many other brave, speedy, and handsome blue hedgehogs do you see here? There's no name on this present, Mr. Humble, said Sally. It could be for any one of us. Everyone cover your eyes and I'll hide it in the woods until we discover who's it for.
So, what are Solar Sugar Snaps supposed to be?
You guys are going to have to tell me. This seems like an American thing.
I feel like it's like Pop Rocks or something.
That makes sense.
Because for some reason, I was thinking of Sugar Smacks, which is a cereal. I think is still around in some form, but yeah, it could be like riffing on Pop Rocks or something, or even like some kind of sour candy, because I like solar implying like heat or hot, or maybe they just wanted something alliterative. But yeah, so it's a big basket of candy with a note, which I feel like this might be the last time in history you could use the word keen to mean.
Oh, boy.
I was just thinking the same thing.
Come on, man. Like, that is like 40s. I mean, that is like original Golden Books. Like, I think you're peachy keen. Can we go steady?
I mean, in the last book, they kept saying stockings instead of socks, so.
True. Maybe they were going off of some like literature style guide, but I feel like you would just say cool, or is cool. Is my overthinking? Is cool too much of a boy word when we're also trying to include Sally as possibly having a secret admirer here?
I just think you're neat.
Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, so we have a mystery on our hands, folks.
Oh
The
my.
plot thickens. Once back in the village, Sonic paced the floor. It was his turn to man the spy scope, but he spent more time wondering where Sally hid the basket and about which of his super deeds had impressed his secret admirer the most. Probably the time last week when I freed the workers at Robotnik's buzz bomber making factory, Sonic thought to himself. That was radical. I believe those are actually buzzers, because buzz bombers are blue or purple.
Actually,
I mean, in actuality, they're the SAT-AM buzz bombers, so I guess it counts.
Yeah, we get another. I mean, again, it's cool to see Badniks and SWAT bots on the same page. Although here we get what was his name? I think all of these background characters here had names in Archie Sonic. Not Hamlin. Hamlin, is it?
It might be Hamlet. I know it's a ham-based name for the pig character.
I don't remember.
Because they got to have like a name that's based on the meat that they make, apparently. According, looking at you, Porker Lewis.
I do remember. Doesn't Hamlin, which he usually he doesn't have it here, but I think he would wear like a bandolier like Rotor had to kind of just give him some clothes. And I think he ended up being on like the Knothole City Council and was like a real filibuster asshole anytime they tried to get something going. That's what I remember of Hamlin.
You are absolutely correct on his name. His full name is Hamlin Pig. So,
and then looks like a porcupine fella, which looks a little familiar, and then just a turtle.
Tommy Turtle.
Not that turtle. No, it's not.
We're gonna get to that one of these days.
Just to clarify, I think this is also a SAT-AM thing as well, because the characters were based on random NPCs. I gave you there it is.
Oh yeah,
the little porcupine and the pig, with the little bandolier too.
I think even that porcupine gets a name in Archie eventually. I remember he's prominent in the issues. I think it's 27 and 28 where Sonic gets amnesia and Robotnik convinces him to attack Knothole, and I think the porcupine is the one that knocks Sonic out so they can reset his scrambled brains. And then like we said, just a turtle, just a plain turtle who doesn't have a name.
If he knows what's good for him, he doesn't have a name.
Oh, and to say this is all in a big thought bubble.
Yeah.
This is Sonic thinking of how cool he was at this factory.
In the meantime, in his room, Antoine was thinking the very same thing. I wonder what this could be. Could it be Princess Sally, impressed with my bravery, heroism, and elegant cooking skills? Perhaps it was that amazing rescue I pulled off at Robotnik's buzz bomber making factory last week.
So it's the exact same thought bubble, except it's Antoine instead of Sonic, and it's...
I would like to point out that on Antoine's wall are several certificates of bravery and heroism to Antoine from himself.
Sometimes you got to practice radical self-care.
Back in the spy scope room, Sonic cornered Tails. Tails, my buddy, my pal, Sonic said, putting his arm around the small fox. How would you like to take my turn at the spy scope so I can, help Rotor clean his lab? Normally, Tails would have jumped at the chance to do a favor for Sonic, but today he answered nervously. Sorry, Sonic, he replied, but I have to...
Poor Tails has got a bundle of flowers that I'm sure he picked by himself outside, hidden behind his back.
Are those flowers in your hand, Tails? Sonic asked, then he fell to the floor laughing. You think you have a secret admirer? Go ahead, say hi to her for me. After Tails left, Sonic got up and dusted himself off.
Poor Tails.
So, like I said, man, Sonic's... kind of a dick.
Kind of.
Like, this
Jabroni.
is...
This is the sort of stuff I would share. These are the cherry-picked things I would share on Twitter to show how much of an asshole Sonic was in the Golden Book continuity specifically.
I can't believe some people consider this a version of Sonic the Hedgehog. Okay, this expression Tails has on his face, it almost feels like Art drew an incredibly sad Tails and then pulled it back just a few notches to where he looks disappointed and not completely crushed.
Sometimes there's a bit of a Bloofian quality to the work that Art Morley puts out, and it's very evident here.
Yeah.
this crestfallen tale.
I can hear the friggin' Vince Guaraldi "Christmas Time Is Here" in the background, looking at him.
I think honestly, Tails is like the perfect expression for like somebody that you like love with everything you've got, just like gave you the worst burn ever, and you're just like,
Oh yeah.
you're just like, I'm gonna go.
Yeah. He's going to have to go process this emotional betrayal.
Gonna have a lot to talk about as his next therapy session.
Sonic is literally rolling on the floor laughing.
I hope Tails doesn't embarrass himself. He's a good kid, Sonic thought as he put his eye to the spy scope.
Jeez.
What's this? Sonic spied a message spelled out with rocks on a nearby hillside. To my favorite free-dumb fighter, meet me at Mud Lake today. Follow the trail of baskets and you will find me. I think you're keen. Not a very good speller, Sonic said to himself. Oh my gosh, bad speller or not, I can't keep this poor girl waiting. Where are my clean socks? Maybe I should wear a tie.
Making a lot of assumptions here, Sonic. This is, I mean, it's a good illustration. It's like a perspective shot of this spy scope, which is, I mean, it's just like a cartoon submarine periscope. And yes, seeing that this message has indeed been spelled out on the countryside in rocks, not unlike, you know, another cartoon of spelling out SOS on a deserted island. He's got a one-track mind, doesn't he, folks?
Well, eventually we'll have to write out the horny scale of Sonic iterations, and this guy is he's up there with Adventures Sonic,
Yeah.
I think.
Meanwhile, in the dark fortress of Dr. Robotnik, the evil genius scowled at the screen full of leaves. Drat that do-gooder Princess Sally, he hissed. The hidden camera in that basket of goodies would have led us straight to Knothole Village if she'd returned with it instead of putting it behind a clump of bushes. His bungling badniks, Cluck and Sniffly, bumbled into the room. We finished the message on the hillside and made the trail just as you ordered, oh fat one, Cluck said. Cluck said.
You're gonna give Cluck a voice. Give Cluck a voice, I suppose that's what it's gonna be.
I appreciate that there's a background gag in this page that will immediately pay off in the next one.
Yes, it's okay. First of all, Robotnik is bent right over looking at his monitor, displaying his rump prominently. And right behind him is a fly swatter behind in a display case that says, in case of stupidity, break glass. And yes, this is Sad AM Cluck with his yellow colors and Snively. They both are both badniks. I guess badniks is just Robotnik's followers in these books.
Well,
Let's see the next page.
it took many baskets of goodies to show the way, Snively reported. Do you think we should be giving them all that stuff? You brainless buckets of bolts, Robotnik thundered as he swatted his henchmen. The brilliance of this plan is that they will all think the message is for them alone. Our goodie trails will entice the wretched group to the lake, where waiting buzz bombers will spring my trap. We'll return victorious with the captured freedom fighters.
Okay, so Snively's just a Terminator.
Yep. And, of course, we get the payoff for the in case of stupidity glass.
This feels like another one where the artist just added that gag in because of, use the word swatted. So, yeah, a fly swatter. Yeah. Why not? It's funny. Poor Cluck.
Satayam Robotnik would never abuse Cluck in that way, because Cluck is his pet. Snively, on the other hand, well...
all bets are off.
If it's not the physical abuse, it's the mental abuse, the verbal abuse.
Why not both?
I do love how, again, we've said these scans that are just on Sonic Retro are incredibly high quality to where you can see, even in the copied version, like the marker, like the paint marker marks in these illustrations. It looks really nice.
Yeah. Sonic arrived at the lake in record time and hid behind a small tree. Soon, he noticed a girl sitting on a rock near the shore. Time to turn on the famous Sonic charm, he thought to himself as he approached the mysterious figure. When he zipped in front of her to say hi, he saw Princess Sally. It's you, they both said, blushing.
There is a lot to unpack in this image, actually.
First, I mean, we see the trail of baskets in the woods that we were promised.
I mean, there's a lot to say aside from the fact that obviously that we see Sally in the distance. She has her tail there this time, so no, no defined butt crack this time. But she does. But she does give me that vibe of the big butted character saying, "Everyone's being mean to me."
That's exactly what I thought. Everyone is so mean to me.
Or it's DK sitting on the dock.
Yes.
Once.
One. Also, there is a distinctly non-anthropomorphized squirrel in the foreground.
Yeah, that's all I was going to point out.
Yeah. Don't read too much into it.
Don't think about it, kids. And yeah, Sonic is literally like straightening a tie, which it's the only article of. Hey, speaking of DK, he's doing DK style here. Got a tie and almost nothing else.
Just then, Antoine came walking over a hill wearing his best uniform, and Tails appeared from another direction. Well, except for Rotor, the gang's all here, Sonic said. Actually, Rotor's right behind me, Antoine said. And he brought his Smog Sucker 2000 so I can cook for me and my secret. You think Sally left the baskets and message for you? Sonic exclaimed. Wait, Sally said. I didn't leave any baskets or message. I started
laughing because he started slipping to like an Italian accent for Antoine.
I have no idea how to do Antoine's voice.
And he brought he's a Smog Sucker 2000.
I'm sure mine's not much better, but all I think of is, Team Fortress Spy to do French cartoon accent.
Zut alors.
Yeah. I love, we see all the characters strolling up here. I missed the first time I read this, fish in the corner, just, he's here for the drama.
Puckering up, baby.
Yeah, I love this little small rotor, just perfectly capable of carrying that thing by himself. Like I said, he's a big boy with big arms, but he's so happy to bring his invention once again.
Mid-stride with those big old... He taking those big steppies. I love that.
Yeah.
The motion there.
Never gonna break my stride.
This image here is actually the best this version of Sally has looked in this whole book series.
Yeah?
I just think she looks really nice.
It's no weird angles, just a perfectly competent this pink Sally.
You all thought wrong! Roared Robotnik as he suddenly appeared, leading an enormous squad of buzz bombers. We're your secret admirers! Get 'em, buzzers! Uh-oh! Tails shouted as he frantically pitched rocks at the swarming robots. There's too many of them for us to fight! And we're surrounded on all sides! Antoine cried in a panic.
So Robotnik is a tsundere. I love you. I'll kill you.
That's more yandere.
Oh, yandere. My bad.
Never fear, Sonic's here. Time to smoke out some badniks. With that, the quick-thinking blue bolt of bravery yanked the cap off the Smog Sucker 2000 storage tank and became a blue blur, spinning wild circles that sent thick smoke billowing in all directions. The confused buzz bombers began to crash into one another. Some fell into the lake, where they scattered in a burst of sparks. Sensing that he may be next to fall in the water, Robotnik retreated.
So this sure is like an early Sonic, like a stunt he would pull.
A feat of speed, as McFeely would call it.
Yep.
Yes. Spinning around and making a tornado using the collected smoke from their early cookout. It's really cute.
I like it.
It does make me wonder, like, what's going through Rotor's head. Like, oh, this thing that was supposed to cut down on pollution is now causing pollution. And a lot of it.
Yeah. We cross that bridge when we get to it. Rotor.
That ethical bridge.
Blast you furry fools! Robotnik bellowed as he zipped away. That wasn't fair! I'm supposed to be the sneaky one here! All's fair in love and war, and this is war! Sonic called as he scooped out Antoine's picnic basket and headed home with the other freedom fighters.
And this is love.
And also recycling backgrounds. But,
Yep.
If you're going to use one, it's a pretty good one.
Yep.
It's only because we spent so much time looking at that one that you notice it.
You were just saying on the previous pages how nice Sally looks, and here we have another very unfortunate, tiny drawn Sally. Even Tails looks okay, but...
Once safely back in Knothole Village, it was time to sort out the situation. I bet you're sorry to discover I'm not your secret admirer, aren't you, Sally? Sonic said with a gleam in his eye. I never thought it was you, Mr. Humble, Sally replied. Remember, I saw the same message as everyone else. Leave it to a Robotnik-made badnik to misspell freedom. Still, it's too bad you boys don't dress like this every day. You look so nice in your ties.
Yep, everybody's having their second picnic of the day.
Tails is going to get chili all over that nice tie.
He is. I mean, he is claw gripping that chili dog too.
Yep. Don't worry, Tails doesn't care if he gets the tie dirty because it's not his. Because as we find out, you mean that they all look nice in my ties, Princess Sally? Antoine said in a huff. Now, would you both please return them and stay out of my closet in the future? Here, Aunt, Sonic said as he tucked off the neckwear. I don't ever want to get tied down anyway.
Big laugh, iris out.
Sonic's afraid of commitment.
I just want to fling.
Yeah.
Antoine, you clothes-wearing freak.
They got to get them from somewhere. I guess it's just Antoine, the only one who has them.
I like how Sally looks genuinely shocked in the background, just like, what?
Yeah. Like, oh, it was just Antoine's
They
clothes.
took his ties?
Rotor is... I think that might be like a stock pose from Rotor, but he's got his eyes closed like, man, he's 100 miles away. He's thinking about how cool his smoker machine is. That's what he's doing.
He's figuring out how he can use it to hotbox.
Yeah, what Sonic did gave me a great idea. And then again, we end on the official Sonic the Hedgehog 2 logo.
Yep.
Special edition.
Sorry, I can't read Sonic the Hedgehog 2 Special Edition without that very silly video someone made of a fake Sonic 2 Special Edition that Demon Tomato Dave did a bunch of songs for. Sonic 2.
So, last on the docket is Sonic the Hedgehog 3, Up Against the Wall.
With corrected colors for everybody. And
Yes.
also Bunny is there.
Everybody looks pretty darn close to their Sat AM and what you would know of their Archie incarnations. Tails has got his correct yellow and orange and white highlights. And yeah, Bunny's here. Yay! I love Bunny. This was written by John Michelig and illustrated by Art Moini. And this definitely looks like what I remember of Art's work in Archie. I think I said earlier, like, he is just super good at this kind of classic Sonic. And yeah, this one looks really good. We jump to the first page with all of information, publisher information. No dedication in this one, so... okay.
No child died for this one, thank goodness.
Yeah. Oh, goodness gracious. In the great forest of the planet Mobius, the brave freedom fighters were listening to Antoine, their record keeper. As you can see by this chart, Antoine reported, Dr. Robotnik and his bully badniks have been quiet lately. Maybe he's ready to give up, piped in Tails, the two-tailed fox. We have a lovely illustration of Tails and Sally sitting on a log while Antoine presents a slideshow with very official-looking graphs and charts about Robotnik's evil activities.
He is the record keeper now, apparently.
Somebody's got to be.
I wonder in fiction, was that a self-appointed, or was that a like, oh, sure, Antoine, you can be the record keeper.
I have the biggest head, so obviously I remember all the facts.
I am so smart with the numbers.
Rebellion is really down this quarter.
I do like this little non-anthro turtle who pops up. Hey, he was in that last book too, in a couple of corners. Just also enjoying the presentation.
Just a regular turtle.
I mean, last time he was more of a Mobian turtle, more of a
Oh, you're right. No, not specifically not a Tommy Turtle. Gosh darn it.
This is an actual turtle akin to the one that Sonic would carry along with him in the live-action movie. Clearly an inspiration to this particular storybook.
Obviously.
I believe the producers of that movie just had piles and piles of material and picked this book out of them.
It was weird during the press release where the director said the turtle was inspired by page 2 of Up Against the Wall.
Sonic the Hedgehog, the lightning-quick leader of the Freedom Fighters, tapped his foot impatiently. He knew that the evil genius Dr. Robotnik wouldn't stop until everyone on the planet was roboticized. "We'll be hearing from him soon," Sonic warned. "Robotnik still has plenty of tricks up his metal sleeve. You can count on that."
The organic one, however, has absolutely no tricks up it. There's no room for it.
Yeah. Which, not to nitpick, but that would be a Sat AM Robotnik thing. And, well, we'll just have to sit tight and see how things turn out, folks.
Yeah. Bunnie's here. I know we talked about her on the cover, but now she's officially part of the Freedom Fighters. Good for her.
Yep. Yeah, this is the other side of that page where, yes, we have Sonic and Rotor and Bunnie also watching the presentation. Suddenly, a muffled boom sounded from far away. "Y'all hear that thunder?" asked Bunnie Rabbit, the half-robot freedom fighter. The ground shook as another boom followed. "But there isn't a cloud in the sky," observed Rotor. "Sounds like trouble," Princess Sally said. "Sorry, Antoine, I'll have to look at your charts later," said Sonic, and the blue blur streaked away.
That poor turtle.
Oh yeah, he has been flipped. It was that big of a boom. Everyone is very on guard, as the ground must have shook right out from under them. Poor Boomer fell right on his tailbone there.
No, he's Rotor now, don't worry, it's fine. You don't have to be in that. Comparatively, he seems like he might be the Boomer of the group. But
that is one of my favorite parts of late stage Archie, both before and after the soft reboot, is there was a conscious effort to all of the other characters are like, hey, late teens, and Rotor is obviously like, man, he might be pushing 30. There are several stories where he's just like, can't we just cut to the chase and do this? And people are like, well, where's the fun in that, Rotor? And he's like, I need to take some ibuprofen.
It's a good thing I'm DVR in Jeopardy.
Yeah, I relate to an older Rotor.
There is something about even pre-reboot Rotor becoming old, beaten down, gay, long-suffering mechanic with poor eyesight that just feels very relatable to a lot of people, I'm sure.
Yeah. Oh, goodness.
Also, Sonic doing one of his stock poses here, I've noticed.
Oh yeah, he's winding back on his feet. A few seconds later, Sonic was at the gates of Robotropolis. He stopped in front of a giant, smoke-belching machine that was slamming pieces of metal into the ground with loud and steady booms. It seemed to be building a huge wall. "I don't like the looks of this machine," Sonic said to himself. "Or the smell. Phew!"
I love the little bumper stickers on the bottom. I brake for nobody, and how's my driving? Call 1-800-GET-LOST.
Yes, the most G-rated version of the 1-800 bumper sticker. I love this guy that he looks like a cross between like a modern, we would call a super badnik, and like a Sat AM machine. Like remember the episode where Robotnik literally has like a great forest destroying, kind of looks like a walker from like War of the Worlds in that episode. I remember, and this guy is like the happy marriage between that
and a crab bot.
But yeah, he's
he's got crab meat eyes.
Big old eye stalks. I guess he's eating trees, and is he manufacturing these big metal pieces out of the raw material, or who knows? Robotnik just hates those damn trees.
I think this robot is the real Full Metal Alchemist.
Full Metal Alchemist.
Full Metal Alchemist.
Thank you.
Someone was going to say it. Man.
The rest of the freedom fighters caught up to Sonic. They watched in horror as the machine scooped up trees from the great forest and replaced them with a wall. "What do you think it's for?" Tails asked. "I don't know, but it's making the ground shake like a Mobius quake," answered Sally.
It's shaking so much that Antoine's losing its hair.
Oh, yeah. That would be a recurring gag in the comics, the little hairpiece.
I can't remember. I mean, did they eventually just stop doing that? Like, no, he has real hair. Even before, like, his redesign. Bunnie does kind of look like she's just casually strolling towards.
But also
she's just
horrified.
in mid-stride, yeah.
She's very laid-back horror right now.
You know, putting myself in the mind of a child, I appreciate the Mobius quake. I guess it's a pun, technically, instead of earthquake.
That means they've got all sorts of Mobius worms, and they're digging up the Mobius, and
Yes.
so on and so forth.
Etc., etc. Suddenly, the evil Dr. Robotnik appeared with his wimpy assistant Snively. "Welcome to my construction site," Robotnik called. "As you can see, Robotropolis is expanding." "I knew you'd show your creepy face soon," Sonic said. "Take your overgrown toy and go home."
I know we've been getting Adventures Robotnik for all of these books, but I feel like this is the one where the difference feels the most significant.
Well, when everyone else looks like their Sat-AM selves, it's the strangest part.
Yeah.
Yes. I just can't help it because, I mean, it is Adventures Robotnik. Like...
Character-wise, too, I think. You wouldn't have that, like, Sat-AM Robotnik sort of waltzing towards Sonic with a bit hard hat on.
I actually like the visual combo of, like, Adventures Robotnik and then Snively. Like, there's something that just looks right about it.
Yeah, it doesn't look out of place. It's just, like we said, it's obviously supposed to be like the world of Sat-AM and Archie comics, but it's Adventures Robotnik. But I mean, I will never look a gift Adventures Robotnik in the mouth. That's for certain.
Yeah.
Promotion.
Cluck is also here, still brightly colored, and yeah, Snively. They're all wearing hard hats with the SWAT bots just standing around. "This will be my home, you pesky rodent," Robotnik replied. "The wall upper 3000 is unstoppable. Before long, it will encircle the great forest with a giant wall. Then I'll set a huge dome over it to keep out the annoying sun. Allow me to demonstrate," Robotnik continued, pulling up a flower and covering it with his hard hat. "Without sunshine and fresh air, all the plants and trees will wither away," Sally said. And yes, the illustration is literally Robotnik holding a clod of dirt with a flower in it that he is putting his round hard hat over.
I like to imagine like the scenario plays out where like he pulls up the flower, he's holding the hard hat above it, but he doesn't put it on yet, and Sonic and his pals are just like waiting with rapt attention, like, what's he gonna do? What's he gonna do? And then like an entire 60 seconds goes by, and then he just goes,
"Oh no!" Oh boy!
"Watch, I'll do it again."
Also, I will admit it took way longer than I probably should have for me to realize the pun with walloper.
Oh, yeah, like a 1930s Popeye cartoon wallop. Yeah. Again, love this SWAT bot. Just, hey, he's just there, man. It's what they don't pay him to do. "Let's see how your bucket of bolts handles a sonic spin," the Hedgehog said, launching himself at the mess-making monster. The freedom fighters gasped as Sonic bounced off the machine. "Hey, that's smarts," Sonic said as he brushed himself off. "The only smarts you'll ever have," Snively said with a sneer.
Oh, dang!
Got him!
Got him!
He does look very proud of himself for that.
I know, yeah.
He thought of that this morning.
I've been workshopping this one for 3 weeks.
I have a notebook.
I love the eye stalks of the wall uppers pointing come all the way down to make sure he is also in the frame to watch Sonic embarrass himself.
I'm here too.
He's got I just realized he has a funny like a mouth where that TV, like you look, the TV is on the front, but that's also like his lower jaw.
Yeah.
Because he's got a little smirk going in the corner. It's only a matter of time now, Robotnik said. The great forest will be mine. We won't let y'all get away with this, said Bunnie. My SWAT bots and buzz bombers will see to it that you don't interfere, Robotnik said, waving his hand. A swarm of badniks quickly appeared and began to chase the freedom fighters. Poor Sonic is still literally seeing stars as the rest of the freedom fighters are imagining like their horrible, destitute fate that awaits them in a thought bubble.
Oh no, they're imagining Chaos Island.
Oh no!
Oh, I like that they're all simpatico on that. They have they share the exact same image of what the Great Forest did look like.
They're drift compatible.
Oh no, a mass hallucination of California at any time of the year.
Oh no.
Oh no!
Is that too mean?
It's not true. I kind of like this doofy Robotnik in the corner. It's just like,
Get him, boys.
I hate that hedgehog.
I'm gonna eat your trees.
Uh-oh, Tails said nervously. There's too many of them to fight. I suggest a hasty retreat, Antoine said as he ran away. Antoine's right, shouted Sally. We need to go home and come up with a plan. Let's go. But Sonic wasn't ready to give in. Sally had to drag him away. She grabs his middle 3D object head spine. It's a cute drawing. I'm not making fun of it. It's very funny.
Sonic very much doing the exactly, the Scrappy Doo.
Let me at him.
This one SWAT bot in the foreground with his arm extended like, hey, wait, whatever.
Take me with you.
Yeah. The speedy freedom fighters easily scrambled to safety through an underground tunnel to the secret entrance of Knothole Village. In the meeting hall, the group discussed their strategy. That's the biggest and loudest machine Robotnik's ever made, Rotor said. My normally foolproof Sonic spin didn't even dent that contraption, Sonic said. Maybe I should have had a bigger breakfast this morning.
And then Bunnie crushed Tails.
Yes. I like this cool, it's another cross-section, like, following the secret stump entrance to the knothole slide.
Yeah.
But yeah, get out of the way, Tails. Here comes Bunnie with her robot limbs.
Bunnie with a big splash from the top rope.
Oh my god!
You know, now I actually look at this slide. It's not so much of a slide as a tunnel, and I don't know if you would slide down it. Like, momentum might not work very well. And oh my god, I'm doing it again. Ding!
Well, yeah, I mean, they had to fit it on the page, but I wonder if you're not meant to, like, dive full speed in there. It sure looks like it's, we see Bunnie and Tails, but it sure seems like it's made more for Sonic to curl up in a ball and roll down in. But hey, nobody said it had to be practical, as long as it works. There's still time to help the animals escape the Great Forest before they're trapped inside the wall, Antoine said. But they won't be able to hide from Robotnik outside the forest, Sally said. Sonic jumped onto the table, a determined look on his face. We won't let that happen, he said. Bees need flowers and birds need trees. And what would I be without hedges?
Sonic, no, we shouldn't be talking about the birds and the bees at this hour.
Yeah,
said Sally.
And Sonic is just like dancing on the table with his filthy shoes. Come on, man. We use that for other things.
How many times is he actually going to do this? It's like his signature move in these books. Is wants to make a point, jump on the table.
Yep.
I mean, is it worse that he has the shoes on, or was it worse when he was just wearing socks?
Oh, good point.
Is it worse when he went in his stocking feet?
Yeah. His dirty, filthy, hole-ridden stockings.
Stop.
Just a hog, Sally quickly answered, Sonic without a hedge. And we can't have that, Sonic exclaimed. Okay, team, I have an idea how to scrap Robotnik and his tree-crunching machine. Sonic zipped around the room gathering up paper, paints, and brushes. But in order for my plan to work, he went on, we need a way to get rid of the SWAT bots. Everybody is here. Tails and Rotor and Bunny caught up. But it looks like the machine and the SWAT bots must be stomping right above them because the ceiling is trembling. Oh no. Yep. I know, said Sally. We can magnetize Robotnik's metal wall with Rotor's giant magnet. The wall would become a super magnet, and when the metal SWAT bots come close to the wall, zap! They'd be out of the picture. Great idea, Sally, Sonic said. And speaking of pictures, Bunny, we'll need you to draw some of your famous landscapes.
Oh, I don't draw anymore, Sonic. Commissions just haven't been making any money lately. AI artists completely screwed over the market.
Oh, boy. That was my plan all along.
I tricked all of the Mobians into uploading their artwork with a funny app that turns you into a cartoon character.
Technology ruins yet another industry.
This is I do like this cute picture of Bunny here.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh yeah, I do draw.
That's a character trait I have.
Hairdresser, landscaped artist.
Robotic woman.
How are pictures going to stop that machine? Asked Antoine. The fake scenery will fool it into following the path we want it to take, answered Sonic. When I bounced off that bucket of bolts, I saw that its computerized eyes were following a route that Robotnik created for it. Yeah, sure, I believe him.
Yeah.
He analyzed all that while smashing his face against it.
And if that doesn't work, we'll just sell these drawings online and make a killing. Do you know how much they pay for art on Fur Affinity these days?
And now, I'm not too good at drawing feet, Sugar.
Oh my gosh.
You're gonna have to be.
Jason Griffith, Sonic, what are you doing here?
Yeah, I don't know why that immediately turned into Jason Griffith, Sonic, but for some reason it sounded right.
Later that day, Sonic, Antoine, and Sally pulled a heavy wagon with a chest of golden rings, the bait they hoped would trap Robotnik, to the wall upper 3000. The wall is almost halfway around the Great Forest, Antoine exclaimed. We'll have to work quickly. I do like this cartoon treasure chest just full of rings here. It's kind of cool. Hey, it's Sonic Frontiersy.
Hey,
topical.
But assuming rings work the same way they do in Sat AM, where the one just pops up from the lake every once in a while, how long do you think it took them to build up a stash that significant?
I can't remember. I think Archie might have dropped that it's like every hour or something, but I think Sat AM, it's just like, hey, it happens every once in a while.
I mean, even once every hour, that's going to take a while.
I don't know if they were doing that at this point of Archie, so I think they were just doing the rings are everywhere, like in the games. And also Chaos Emeralds, there's millions of them everywhere.
Oh man, not going on a tangent, but I always hated that. That was like my favorite, tidy up retcon they did before the comics rebooted. Robotnik and Snively were busily planning future robot factories when they noticed the Freedom Fighters approaching. We want to make a deal, Robotnik, Sonic said. Your machine is just too tough for us to beat. If you stop building the wall, we'll give you this chest full of golden rings. It's, Robotnik and Snively holding blueprints for factories, just looking up like, what? But Robotnik sure has been over with his butt just hanging out there. See, again, that's how you know it's adventures, Robotnik.
Yep.
It could be a trick, Snively whispered to Robotnik. But I'll be trickier, Robotnik whispered back. As soon as the chest is open, you check it for a trap. Then I'll command the SWAT bots to surround those troublesome freedom lovers. Okay, freedom flunkies, Robotnik said to Sonic with a big smile. It's a deal. Give me the chest, and I'll turn off the wall upper 3000. Just what a great wringing his hands evil Robotnik here.
That's one of the things we never really got to see Art Winnie do a lot of adventures Robotnik, because obviously in Archie they were immediately using the SAT-AM version. We missed out on joys like this little image here.
And like this goes back to what I said earlier, where it like Adventures, Botnik, and Snively just look right together, because this looks natural. This looks like it's supposed to be there.
I'm just now noticing that Robotnik's very human-shaped hard hat is perched on top of his cone head. Robotnik and Snively moved closer to the chest of golden rings. Ha! The joke's on you, suckers! Robotnik said. I'll swipe the golden rings and take you all prisoner. SWATbots, attack! Badniks appeared from everywhere. They surrounded the freedom fighters and backed them up against the wall. Hey, that's the name of the book.
It's a title drop.
Hopefully they'll live and learn about this.
So the cover of this book is pretty much see, that's me. Now you're probably wondering how I got in this situation.
Yeah. I know a better joke, Baldy, Sonic said, and then whistled loudly. At the signal, Rotor popped up from beneath the golden rings with his giant magnet. He flicked a switch, and the magnet pulled him and the wagon right to the metal wall. I think we can lay this one at Snively's feet for really dropping the ball here.
Yeah. I must have, my modern Sonic brain has like some sort of trigger in it now where I saw Baldy and immediately filled it in with McNose hair.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's instinctive.
I was like, oh no, I'm at that stage now.
Oh no, you summoned the words that make all of the Sonic fan base mad, apparently.
Which, hey, don't forget to buy those Eggman diaries from Big's Fishopedia in Frontiers, Jake.
Yes, please do.
Wink. Dr. Robotnik and his metal badniks were drawn onto the magnetized wall. They were stuck like bugs on flypaper. Antoine and Sally quickly pulled a net from the chest and dropped it over Robotnik's non-metallic lackey, Snively. Now it looks like you're up against the wall, Sonic shouted as he quickly reclaimed the golden rings. Maybe, but you haven't stopped my unstoppable wall upper 3000, Robotnik taunted. Now, here is where, SAT-AM Robotnik famously has one metal arm, and that sure looks like what's supposed to be, but hey, whatever.
At least they acknowledge that Snively is not metallic, unlike in that previous book where they seem to... He's called a bucket of bolts.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he sure did, him and Cluck, but yeah. I mean, I guess giving the benefit of the doubt, even this version of Robotnik looks like he might be wearing like metallic accents on his costume, so hey, we'll just call it that, but yeah.
It's just Sonic with all those rings around his arm makes me think of a certain Archie strip. I think it was when he collected a certain amount of rings, and that's when he went into that world with, what was it, horizontal and vertical, and
or there was also the one where he collected his billionth ring and went to see the ancient walkers. Which, Lord almighty, we'd be here all night. I think he does that a lot, because I think it's also in the Supersonic vs. Hyper Knuckles special. He's also like running around that little special zone just putting rings on his arms. I think Knuckles does it too, but instead of just absorbing them into his body like the games, it's like, oh no, he has to hold all 50 of them. So
he looks like he has yellow springy arms, like in the game arms, like
yeah, a little bit.
Gosh, you just unlocked I'm pretty sure I had they might have been pool toys, like little weighted plastic rings that you would throw in the deep end and go retrieve.
I remember those.
I think I used to stack them on my arm, just like Sonic from my shows. Just watch. Now it's up to Tails, Sonic said and whistled again. The speedy fox zipped from behind a tree and darted in front of the massive wall upper 3000. He held Bunny's fake scenery in front of the machine's glaring electronic eyes. The wall upper may have been big, but it wasn't very smart. It was fooled by the pictures and zigged left and zagged right and then left again until it toppled over a cliff to its doom.
I like it. I like this sort of sequence of images. It's almost like a little comic here.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it's adorable little tails with his big sheets of paper.
Yeah.
And yeah, again, this last one of the walloper going over the cliff, you really see like, oh yeah, that is his mouth as he's I think we may have said it before, but a very like Banjo-Kazooie rare-esque expression here.
You kind of imagine he would have like a yikes sign held up as he was falling.
Yep. Mother. Back at Knothole Village, the freedom fighters celebrated their victory. "I wish I could have been there," Bunnie said, laughing. "You would have stuck to the wall just like Robotnik," Sally said. "Using my giant magnet was a great idea, Sally," Rotor said. "How did you think of it?" "I hate to take all the credit," Sonic interrupted, "but I'm sure it was my magnetic personality that inspired her."
Boo.
Boo.
Get off the stage.
Fuck you. Sally is hanging up a picture of the walloper falling over the cliff. Someone take that, or they asked Bunnie to paint it maybe later as they're describing it to her.
It's possible. I do appreciate the detail of them having Bunnie not be there because her metal parts would have gotten stuck too. I feel like a lesser writer would have forgotten that and just left her there anyway.
Right.
Yeah, I admit I glossed right over that until just now. I'm like, wait, why didn't Bunnie go? Oh, yeah.
That's why she had to have watercolor painting skills, because otherwise she'd have nothing to do in this story.
Yes, they could have just left her out, unfortunately. I'm glad she's here, though.
Yeah.
I've said before, I sure do like Bunnie. She's cool beans.
Yes, indeed.
Oh, and we get one final page with the very official Sonic the Hedgehog 3 Special Edition book logo. And, well, goodness gosh, those were a couple of super cute little books, huh?
Yeah. I'm glad to know that my fond memories of at least the one I read was not misplaced.
Like we've already talked about it at length, but the fact that these started like in the middle of Sad AM and Archie just getting going, like I can totally forgive any pesky continuity errors, but I mean I would have loved to have had these as a kid. I would have absolutely loved them, and that probably made my parents read them to me at bedtime. Yep.
It's a shame Sonic is such an unrepentant asshole in this, though.
Yeah.
I can't believe people grew up with this Sonic. This is despicable and terrible characterization.
Subtle.
Well, at least he's not British. It was the style at the time. Like, no, like you really do see like echoes of the original Bible material Sonic, and I'm sure that influenced like part of the Sad AM Bible, just nothing else. You know, it seems like the only thing that made it into the American continuity from those Bibles was a little bit of Sonic's characterization.
But in Sad AM, he would never be rolling on the floor laughing at Tails like that.
Yeah, that's true. That was just straight up mean.
Yeah, that's definitely a moment that catches the reader off guard. Like, wow, Sonic, what the heck?
And no apology, no like, I guess Tails just got over it. Maybe he just told himself, well, that's just how Sonic is. He doesn't mean it.
That's how Sonic says I love you.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Oh, that's bad. I'm sorry.
It's Sonic the Gaslighter.
Oh, no.
Well, Sonic's never been like that with me. I don't know what your problem is. I've never seen anything like that from Sonic.
Oh, my gosh.
Are you sure? But this is nice. It's nice to read these little books that you guys had growing up, because it's like when I first discovered Archie, where I'm like, oh, so this is what was happening on your side of the pond, what helped form your understanding of Sonic, other than Sad AM, because obviously we had that here, but
Yeah.
if we're wrapping up this book, I just and this has been a delight, but I did not get to read anything throughout all of this because we only had 3 books, and I was quite happy to let you lot take the reins here because you are all the Americans. You've read these growing up. So, to make up for it, I'm going to read a few excerpts from the Sonic the Hedgehog joke book that was released in my country.
Oh boy.
This weirdly vertical book, released by Ladybird in, what year was it again? Well, 1994. So, this is a black and white 33-page book. It's very tall, it's very odd, and here are just a few bits from it. Sonic the Hedgehog's mega awesome jokes. Why can you go faster when you have a cold? Because your pulse races and your nose runs. What's the fastest kind of fish? A motor pike. Why is your right foot always in front when you are running? Because when you move one foot, the other is always left behind.
Okay.
When is a black and white dog not a black and white dog? When it's a greyhound. All of these great Sonic the Hedgehog specific jokes, as you can tell.
Oh my goodness. Now, okay, correct me if this is not where the famous...
Yes, it is.
Oh, it is.
Exactly what you're thinking.
Okay.
That is where this comes from. This does actually take character designs from Sonic the Comic for some reason. Yeah, the original joke is a picture of Porker Lewis saying, "There's a collection for the new swimming pool," as he holds a can of some sort, a collection a tin, I guess. And Sally Acorn, in her classic Bible design, says, "I'll give a glass of water." Now, what most people are probably used to is, "Oh shit, this juice be banging. It's paint, asshole." There are multiple ones of these. I'm not going to go through all of them, but if you want to know what kind of children's books I was dealing with, other similar ilk to that, it's this, because it has the same Robotnik design. Damn it, I'm just sorry. I'm just looking at these now. I'm thinking of their equivalents.
Yes, the Robotniks staring at each other like, "Finally, my own clone! Now neither of us will be virgins."
The top one here is has been edited very simply before, but the original dialogue is a Borobot saying, "The Invisible Man's outside," and Robotnik says, "Tell him I can't see him." But of course, the famous edit is, "Tell him to fuck off."
I think I've seen that one.
I like the other versions. "The Invisible Man's outside! Then how did you see him, you fucking prick?"
But that's a topic for a whole other time. This is the kind of content I was getting in my country. No, we had STC, we were fine.
I know. You had Stay Sonic, too. Also
Yeah,
from...
Stay Sonic, and we had the Martin Adams novels. You know what? There's actually a lot of Sonic literature out there, and I'm sure we're going to get to them in future episodes if people liked this one, our in-depth discussion of the Sonic Golden storybooks.
So that does it for this episode of The Hill is Always Greener. As always, you can find us on various social medias. I am Game Buddy on most socials. You can also find me on Twitter, for now, at Great Job Jeremy. That's GR and the number 8.
I'm Falero, that's FAULERRO, on all the socials. Well, not really all of them. I didn't get onto Hive because I like my data where it is.
Oh, Lord.
I am Roth the Jake, and you can find me on the socials at Roth the Jake, and you can also find me on Twitch at Mr. Roth the Jake.
And you can find me on Twitter at Cyberlink420 for as long as that continues to be a thing.
And as always, a very special thanks to Amy Waters for the use of our theme song from the album Gotta Go Slow. You can check out more of her work on YouTube and Bandcamp. And also remember to review, subscribe, and share the podcast because, hey, believe it or not, that really does actually help other people see it. It's the way the world works. And it means a lot to us because it helps us know that people are watching and builds our audience. And, well, gosh darn it, it just gives us all the more reason to do more cool stuff to put out for y'all to watch and listen, etc., etc. So thank you very much for the people who have done that.
For sure.
And God, man, do we want to pull the trigger and tease
Everybody knows it's coming. Yeah, we're doing Frontiers, everybody.
Yeah, Frontiers! Yay! Sonic's front ears. It's a great part of his body.
Okay, we gotta get out of here. Okay. So until next time, I am Game Buddy.
I'm Valero.
I'm Rock the Jake.
And I'm Cyberlink, and next time, try writing a better story.
Oh!
Hey!
Ooh, perfect.
Yeah!
Yeah, take that, storybook writers. Writing for actual children.
Babies even.
How could they?